Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Welcome to tradertv.live. Busy start to a new trading week. We have North American stock futures back in negative territory. We are off the lows this morning, coming back to the upside, but still pointing to a bit of a negative start to the trading session this morning. Energy shares leading the way. We have crude oil down about 5% on the morning. We have airline stocks under pressure right across the board. The entire group down between about 4% and 10% this morning after Warren Buffett said over the weekend that his Berkshire Hathaway has sold all of their holdings when it comes to airline stocks. So negative look so far this morning for the airline operators. We have cruise lines to the downside this morning. Some of them going to be reporting earnings coming up here within the next week or two. So getting a little bit of negative pressure as well. We have some COVID-19 related stocks moving around. We're going to get to those. The weakness this morning coming off extending really a 600-point decline we had for the Dow back on Friday to kick off the new trading month of May. April, though, very, very positive, obviously. The new tensions, there's also new tensions this morning between the Trump administration and Beijing once again when it comes to how Beijing and how China handled the COVID-19 outbreak overall. Trump now talking about further sanctions possible for China. It's also another big week for earnings. We mentioned we have cruise lines set to report, some more from the financial sector set to report, car rental companies coming up, and more from the pharmaceutical group as well. It is Monday, May 4th, 2020. Neil's favorite day. TraderTV.live starts now. And there we go. Look at Asian markets. First off here from overnight. Yeah, big time negative numbers right across the board here outside of Australia. You can see Australia, the only one in positive territory there. Otherwise, pretty negative for both Chinese markets after the news of possible sanctions coming or additional sanctions from the U.S. Let's go over to Europe and see how things are shaping up so far. Yeah, pretty red there as well. Right across the board outside of England, everything kind of 2+% to the downside. We'll shift over to North America and have a look at futures here heading towards the open. Just under half an hour to go before we get things going here in North America. The S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ all pointing to the downside. We have the TSX here in Toronto, futures pointing to a flat open. Brazil's open already, trading lower. Bitcoin about flat so far to start the new week. Crude oil to the downside. Gold is positive so far this morning. Sean is off today. We're hoping he'll be back on Tuesday, but Arun is sitting in for Sean this morning. Good morning, guys. Busy one to start. Once again, we have all kinds of airlines to talk about this morning. What are we thinking so far?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Sean may not be here, but I did notice that Arun is already dipping into the fruit salad a little bit early. I know Sean waits a little bit later on in the show, but Arun's getting his kick on. I only have my coffee, and we're going to need it today. Warren Buffett selling his entire share in the airlines. Of course, if you listened to his comments in the Berkshire call, very pessimistic outlook in the markets. I want to show you what we had for numbers at Day Trade the World on Friday. Of course, most of Europe was closed due to Labor Day holidays. So you're going to see New York and NASDAQ leading the way, 17,500, 16,000 in NASDAQ. You did see London still open, so 7,000 there. In Canada, TSX 6,000, 5,500 in the Amex. Arun, crazy mornings. I'm looking at the ES over here, taking out 2,800. Wow, should be a fun one, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now, with that gap down and now we're moving around, market's trying to find some direction right now. So I'm going to stay out of the ES, but you know what? The airlines, that's where the action is going to be today. There's a lot of movement. I'm seeing a lot of possible opportunity in the airlines, and I'm sure Brendan will get to it, but that's where I'm looking right now and we'll wait on the ES for a bit.
Yeah, these airlines going to be interesting today, obviously under significant pressure already because of the outbreak and the lack of demand for the group. So we'll see how things are shaping up so far when it comes to the airlines. First, let's get over to the desk and say good morning to Valeria.
Hello everyone and welcome to the live trading show. Guys, if you're passionate about day trading, if you want to learn or improve your trades and stay updated with the latest news from the financial world, you're in the right place at the right time. I wish you a great trading day and we are here to make it even better. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also be active on the chat, we are doing that for you. I'll see you later, back to traders.
All right, let's jump into things here, guys. We have a number to get through here as far as individual stocks go. I just brought UAL up here, down 11% on the morning. Again, the news over the weekend, Warren Buffett saying that Berkshire has gotten rid of all of its airline holdings right across the board. So this entire group going to be under significant pressure as a result this morning. Yeah, UAL down 11% here. Look at all of these guys trying to push towards these lows to start this morning.
Yeah, what's interesting is that UAL is off of its actual low. If you want to go back to in March, 1780 or so was the bottom. It's put in a couple of higher lows since then. Where I'm looking at 2150 area, and then now it's busting through this other level at 2425. So you sort of juxtapose that with American Airlines, which is I'm going to throw it up here because American Airlines is actually on its low from March, and that's the relative weakness that I'm going to like to be able to play. It just bounced off of 910. You're going to see there, but this is the break we're talking about right here. 910 pre-market low today. It's also the low if you go from this little dip. There hasn't been a recovery in AAL. The relative weakness is all over the place. So if there's a bounce in this market, it's probably going to be UAL for me. But otherwise, we're selling American today. I do have a bit of a retracement level, but that's not until that 990 to 10 even area on any kind of a pullback. So you got to be aggressive shorting this.
Yeah, for me there, Neil, UAL is one of those stocks where I'm seeing a lot of back and forth action. I know we gapped down. I know it's down 11%. For me, the possibility is to the downside, but I wouldn't be surprised of the upside. At the same time, I think if I'm looking upside, I've got other stocks in the airline industry that are much better set up for that. Specifically, Southwest, LUV. I'll pull it up here on my chart here, and we'll see that the Southwest has double bottomed near this 25, just under 26. So they've cleaned up some stops below 26. So I'm going to say 25.75 is my bottom end here. And I'm looking for an upside of, let's see if we can cover the gap. Probably not, but the potential to the upside is here. So, and the clear breakout as well on the short term is the 27.40 right here. So a lot of opportunity on the Southwest versus United. So I'm going to be looking over here for airlines.
All right, guys, let's go to another little one here. I was just working some orders on Codex. I wanted to mention Spirit Airlines. If you're looking for some of the smaller ones, also under pressure this morning, moving to the downside. So you have Spirit, which is Save, traded on the New York Exchange, and then JetBlue, another one to have a look at as well, JBLU. Here's Save to the downside as well, 8.73%, so not as much, but right at this $12 even level. I mean, guys, obviously the bigger one's going to be in focus here, but worth mentioning, I think, some of these smaller names as well.
Yeah, I was actually giving a quick look at JetBlue through about like 825 if you're trying to pick something up on a break to the upside. And again, it's a similar story when you look at JetBlue and you look at Save. They're off of those lows. They put in a higher bottom. This is the third time it's trying to do that. The level here is at 1150 if we're going to hold above that. I think there's an opportunity in some of those other names. And again, like I said, American is the most beat up by far of all of these. You have to watch out for volume, and I think that's going to take me away from at least Save in this circumstance here with only 300,000 done. You'll probably see me stick with, like Arun mentioned, you're going to be able to jump into Southwest. It's done good volume. You got UAL, you've got AAL. The one thing to keep in mind, this is an overall sort of transportation sector play. I'm going to be watching Carnival Cruise Lines as well. Buffett's comments, I think, quite frankly, are going to affect things like Disney when it comes to anything travel related, or companies that are involved in when it comes to vacation or whatever it might be. So this could be widespread, but if we get any kind of a bounce, just make sure you're playing in a relatively strong name. That's the key takeaway.
Yeah, you know what? It's when you have so many choices, you got to narrow it down to a couple. Because I mean, there's so many stocks you can play, right? Between the normal carriers, the budget carriers, and they're all almost set up the same way. They all gapped, and now they're doing their thing, just going sideways. They're trying to find a base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend my time and my money in the stocks that I find that are setting up the best. I personally, I'm going to lean towards LUV, Southwest. Although Save as well does look like it's got some potential to build some basing. or build a base here. The top end is around 1240, it seems like, and the bottom is 1160. Let's see how they play this after the open. But for now, most of the focus is going to go towards Southwest, but I will keep an eye on safe.
All right, guys, let's go over to the energy sector next. We mentioned crude oil to the downside this morning, so a lot of energy names following suit, adding overall pressure to this market. XOM and Oxy, both with additional news this morning. XOM announcing they have indefinitely postponed the sale of $2 billion in oil and gas assets in the North Sea. We also had Occidental out this morning announcing the deal to sell $8 billion worth of Anadarko's African assets to France's Total SA has also run into a bit of a snag this morning. So, I mean, we can have a look at XOM. I just brought up Oxy here as well, 6.5% to the downside. Bounced off 14 early on this morning, so might be an interesting level.
Yeah, I mean, I was sort of looking at this one, and that's 14 is just that middle of the range since we bottomed out in Occidental. You do have 1150, to about this 1830 mark, so you're sort of splitting hairs at that 14. It's going to be an interesting pivot point for me. You always have to track the price of crude, but I think both XOM and Oxy have the potential to move on their own. If we can hold that 14 even area, you're definitely looking for me. It's going to be any kind of a play into 15. I'm probably going to be fading that on Oxy today, and when I come in with a bit of a short bias, I'm sort of cognizant that if you get these bounces to the upside, I'm going to look to fade some of them. In Oxy, for me, the first thing will be if 14 can break, we'll take that. If we do get a bounce to the upside, we break through this pre-market top. If we slow down shy of this 1510 mark where we were at the bottom on Friday, that's the rollover that I'll be looking for in Occidental to grab a little bit of a short piece of the action. For longs, I think XOM is probably the safer play. I know that's one thing that we usually talk about. Make sure you have your relative strength. Oxy, down that 5. XOM only down this 1.5, and you got this 4250 mark coming in much closer to those support levels from Friday. So it's showing its strength. Here, if there's a big pop off the open, I think XOM through 4250 is the better play long than Oxy.
Yeah, you know what, for me, I'm going to go towards Oxy here. I like what they're doing down here, just underneath 14 with a 1390 bottom. That to me shows some interest down there, so I'll keep 1390 as my bottom end. Upside, it's interesting that we get into this gap here and actually kind of draw back a little bit. So I want to see if we take a secondary push here above 1460. If we go and we can sustain it, there's a possibility that we go for the gap, which is about 1514. But for now, it's either longs near the 14 or wait and see what they do above 1460 to see how much volume's up there against the gap.
All right, let's go over to some of the pharmas here, guys. Worth mentioning in the energy sector as well, though. Whiting, some of the smaller names, some of the smaller energy groups also kind of following suit with this move to the downside. Whiting, one we've been trading over the past week and a half, WLL. There's also SM Energy. There's Noble and SPI. So NBL and SPI Energy, a couple of the smaller ones also participating this morning more so than usual to the downside with crude oil. APDN, Applied DNA Sciences, let's talk about them. They said over the weekend they've been successful in production of neutralizing antibodies against SARS-CoV-2 after DNA vaccinations in animals. We've been hearing a lot lately about these antibodies and antibody testing that is going to be so key when it comes to solving this virus outbreak. So looks like APDN, the first one here, guys, with success in that field.
This is an interesting chart to read here because I'm going to go to the daily for you, and you'll see once we broke through 9, there's just absolutely nothing in terms of the last time we came up here. 1650 was the level that we're talking about. So you're in this middle range. The break has already happened for anybody who did catch this long at about 1050. I know some people in the chat were talking about this. If it's going to roll over at some point, I think we're going to have to be patient with it. I'll be interested to see if it gives any kind of a pullback off the open, which gives you a chance to get into the long bounce. That hasn't been the case a lot of times. I think most times if you've missed out on this move, you're looking for this stock to slow down and maybe give some halts and then maybe give you some opportunities to get back into the south side. So there's really nothing till about 1650. So unless you get a pullback into 11 or something like that, I don't know if we'll be able to get that long. If we do, I think we'll take a shot off the open. But as far as shorting it, for me, I'll be hands off for that sort of retracement play for the time being.
Yeah, you know what, this thing has gone so fast. It's just pretty much parabolic at this point. With stocks like this, what this presents is an opportunity to scalp. So on the way up, I'm not seeing any levels except all the way down to 960, so which is almost $3 away. So for now, let's just wait on this, see how much more volume develops, and then we can make a trade on this, because right now it's gone so far so fast that you really are gambling at this point to take a shot on this.
All right, we'll move on to Stemline Therapeutics here, another one in this same kind of sector. Some deal making. We haven't talked about merger and acquisition news in quite some time on the show. They announced this morning they've agreed with an offer from Minari Group that will see the company be acquired for $11.50 per share in cash, plus $1 contingent value right. Total value on this deal, $677 million. So STML on the NASDAQ, obviously, if you're wondering, yeah, up 152% on that news this morning, guys.
Yeah, this is one of those things where you watch a gapper and you got to know whether it's a deal or not, because it's not going to have the same fundamental moves that you'll see in these other high flyers like APDN that we're watching today. You can pretty much treat that 1150 area as a bit of a floor. It should have some support if it gets down there. You can see I'm actually looking to go long in front of it if I can get that opportunity. I think the way the conditional right goes with that dollar is like any sales in the EU, once they get any one of those 5 countries, once they get any sales of that drug, it'll trigger. So it seems like the market's pricing in a decently high probability of that, as it's already trading at 12. Just don't expect there to be gigantic moves in this stock, despite the fact that it's up 150%.
Yeah, for me, these are the stocks that I stay away from. It's not my style of trading, so I have nothing to say about this stock. I will not be looking at it. It is not on my radar.
With that $1 included in that deal, Neil, maybe how do we approach the open here? Will there be obviously profit taking? This is a huge premium from where it was trading last week, 150+%. Do you look short maybe at the open?
I mean, usually that's the name of the game, and I think that's one of the reasons. I have a bid at 1150, or just in front of it, thinking that we might get a bit of a flush into that price. So, it's not that I would take this one with 15 minutes to go into the short opportunity, but if it breaks 12 right off the open, you'll probably see me dip into this one and then not go long until either I see really good support, that's on the level 2 somewhere, some big buying step up, or that 1150 mark. Just jump in front of that, it being the key price.
And obviously, the thought process there just being, long-term holders of this stock waking up this morning to 150+% gain, willing to take it off where it is, not necessarily wait for the extra dollar that could come.
And the other thing too, Brennan, is consider that if you have those profits in your account and you're saying, do I want to wait for the deal to close to take them when I'm only going to get a little bit more? In a week where people are maybe anticipating the market's going to roll over again, yeah, you might get a little bit of that as well. It's a little bit more enticing to take those sure gains when you think you might be getting some deals in other equities a little bit later on.
Yep, there you go. So a couple ways to approach that STML this morning coming up here in, what do we got, just under 15 minutes. Let's go to Gilead. Guys, big mover Friday afternoon, GILD, huge move up into the close on Friday afternoon after the FDA approved remdesivir for emergency use as a treatment for COVID-19. So yeah, we had this huge run up into the close on Friday. Coming off the highs, we were already back to those levels in the pre-market, but back below 80.50 here now.
Yeah, Gilead, every time we talk about it, we have to show you guys this choppy daily chart, and it's a nice upward trend, and you're always looking for it to break this little band here. Every time it spikes up, you do get these big time smackdowns. So if there is any positive action off this news, and again, it's only up 0.8%. I mean, granted, the market's down a little bit. I think you get into that 84, 85, and then the second it gets into that band, I'm just looking to fade it, because every time it just pulls right back in. To break the lower end, I think I mentioned this on Friday, I'm looking at maybe 78, 77 is the area where you'd maybe try that little bounce play if it does have a sell-off. In the middle, I'm just not touching Gilead. It's just been all kinds of trouble if you're not actually waiting for it to make a move and you're sort of guessing direction. It is what it is. I don't think it's the best day trading stock in the world unless you're capturing those fantastic moves on reversals.
Yeah, I'm looking at this multi-day 30-minute chart here, and this thing is sitting dead center in between the top end range of 87.50 and the bottom of 74.50. So you know what? Intraday movement is going to be kind of tight in terms of breakouts, but if you want to try to play something off the 80, that's available. That's probably got a $1.15 movement. So you do have to be careful of what your expectations are when you're trading inside of a big range like this. So if we're near a top of a range, you could say maybe we're going to break out, but this one is dead center, so let's just be careful. There are possible entries in front of this 80, possible 80 to 50 breakout, but again, limited upside, right? $1.50, so you got to watch your risk on this trade.
A little bit more to add to that story, guys. The company also said that they have donated their current supply of remdesivir for immediate use to start treatment. So they're going to obviously increase production, but anything they had on hand now, they've donated for immediate use as well. Let's go over to Disney. Neil, you mentioned kind of tied to that Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway news over the weekend when it comes to the airlines. Disney down here 3% to start this morning. They also got a downgrade. I forget who it was from, but there was another smaller downgrade on top of this one today. But back to 102 here. Sean's not here, but Disney obviously under pressure this morning.
Yeah, they're under pressure, all right. There was a 4-day band just a few sessions ago where like 102.50 to 102.80 was a bit of a resistance point. I think we're just sort of trading below that. We'll try and be shorting this one in front. I mean, it's sort of, you look at this and you sort of have this obvious breakout set up through about 103, not the pre-market high. So the fact that 102.50 to 80 sort of stands out for me just gives you a bit of range to play this one both ways. I think, you know, if it gets out of there to the upside, yeah, the market wants to recover. Maybe you pick up a breakout at 103. Otherwise, you got that chance to take that quick little short with a relatively tight stop, I think. And the story here goes, you know, they can do all the testing they want and they can check temperatures when people come back, but you don't go around the block to go to Disney. You go on an airplane and your family travels. So what are they going to do? Are you going to get turned away at the gate? Like, there's a lot of things that just don't make a lot of sense to me in terms of, you know, when things get back to normal, the Disney theme parks aren't going to be part of it. So, you know, they have streaming. That's fantastic. They should have dropped a certain something on the weekend so I could have watched it again, but they're dropping it today. That's fine. I won't get into that. Maybe I'm a little bit bitter, Arun.
Yeah, you know, for me, Disney is going to be very interesting if it goes above the intraday or the overnight high, which is around 103.60. If we get into that 103.60, 104 area, if we can catch them selling, it might be actually a really good short off the 105 stop level. You can see here on this chart here, we spent quite a bit of time here developing a decent amount of volume between 104.50 and 105, so I'm going to expect them to hold it there. So in between the gap above the high is going to be where the action is going to be to try to take a short. In terms of breaking down, if it takes 101.50, there might be a quick 50 cent before we hit some resistance from the 24th, April 24th, going down. Bottom end 99. Unfortunately, it's that far away, right? So opportunities to buy in front of 99 may present itself if we get near the 100. But I'm hoping that this thing pops off above the 103.50 and develops a sell point, which I can short into 105.
All right, guys, let's go over to Uber next. I want to talk about Uber. There was news on it, but worth mentioning if we don't get to it, some of the automakers going to be under pressure today, both Ford and GM gapping to the downside. April auto sales in the U.S., the lowest on record, down about 50% on a year-over-year basis, according to Auto Data, a firm that tracks auto sales in the U.S. They started doing that back in 1980. So this is the lowest number since 1980 for April when it comes to auto sales. So watch Ford, watch GM. Let's talk about Uber, though. Might be an interesting one here this morning. They've been slapped with a lawsuit that's pointing towards anti-competitive practices when it comes to rival sidecar technologies and their demise. They're out of business now. Apparently Uber was or had something to do with that, allegedly. Anyways, judge ruled that the sidecar lawsuit will be able to go ahead in court, guys. So Uber down about 2.8% here.
Yeah, you know, we talk about channels that these stocks are in, and there's about a 26.40 to 50 bottom end of this channel. There was a breakout just, you know, last week in Uber through that, and it's given everything back. So the top end of that channel was about 28.90. We're rubbing up on that bottom. It seems like, you know, previously there was decent support at that 26.40 to 50 area. So I think you'll get an opportunity to play that if we get any kind of move to the downside. So I'll be looking to short it through 27. But again, you know, like I said, there's some support at that 26.40 to 50 area that we'd want to be at least trying to pick it up if that's where the bottom is going to be. You can certainly see Uber's made a nice recovery. Maybe this news and the action of last week gives you a chance to pick it up down there. Otherwise, you sort of stick with the trend to the south side.
Yeah, you know, as they're coming, I'm looking at this chart again, 30-minute multi-day. This thing has come down to an area where there's going to be a ton of action here in between that 27.40 and about 26, I want to say 26.40, about $1 down. There's a ton of action going all the way back up to the 9th. So April the 9th, we're a nice little base that we spent about 2 weeks almost developing. So as we come down there's definitely going to be some interest down there for volume. And on the upside, it's going to be, I'm thinking about 29 even on the upside. So again, this is pretty much the same play as the last one, which is hopefully they get up to the highs, show some sell side, and then I can short this off 29, which is the better play, I think, instead of trying to take the breakdown, because then, again, limited risk on or limited opportunity or profit potential on the downside. So we're going to wait on this one. Hopefully it does come off. I do want to make a note though, MVIS, I know we're going to get to this later, MVIS just took off a little bit through the 90s, so I did step into a 0.91, 91 cents for all you guys that like to play the low volume or the low price ones. Right here, I took off 91. You can see that they spent a decent amount of time above this 88 or underneath this 88, so I took off the breakout. And my stop is just under 82. So again, this is a low price one, so more shares, right? A lot more shares on this one. So we'll see how this one plays out.
All right, Arun, perfectly setting up small cap world there. Let's talk about Code Diagnostics. 6% to the upside this morning. They teamed up with another company when it comes to producing their test kit, their COVID-19 test kit, so they can produce a whole bunch more. They also said that demand for the test kit has gone through the roof once again. So a little bit of an uptick for Code Diagnostics here. 15 above us here. We're trading around, well, now it's down to 14.20, but this 14.60 level through to 15, a lot of congestion if you go out to the daily chart. So Code Diagnostics looking like might want to test lower prices. We already got down here to 14 and kind of bounced off that. So we'll see what happens with CODX as well this morning.
Yeah, great look. I mean, Codex has been one that's certainly given you opportunities through and through. We got about 4 minutes to go here. I'm just showing you the daily chart there. Brennan mentioned 1460, but this is what you're talking about. There's a couple of spikes through. We're trying to get to 16 even and then faded back in. We got a couple of days rallying back into that range. Look, if Codex is one of those stocks where if it fails to break through a resistance point, you usually see a decent day of selling. So I'd love to see this one test to the upside into that 60 to even range, and then we'll be all over it. Arun, you made a fantastic call there in MVIS. We're talking in the chat, some of us earlier, and there was a huge band between 70 and 80 cents. So I actually was shorting this retracement through 78, and then at that 70 mark, this is where we took out almost everything. I did hold on to 10% when there was an iceberg order here at 75. I just took this one out, and certainly reversing long. I just mentioned here, one of the reasons why you might think it's a bit of a bounce in the pre-market when it pulls back in is if you can find a higher level significance to that level. Like it's not just that it's 70 cents even, it's that you can go back to the daily chart and then sort of see a channel here at this 70-cent mark. And Kevin did a fantastic job in the chat of pointing this one out. You had some support already at that price. So when it pulls back in and then you're looking at it sort of in the pre-market action, you get some icebergs, you get some buyers step up, then you can go back into January and see support at a price like that. Yeah, that's a reason not to just take off profit, maybe to go long as well. So, Kevin's going to be in the chat all session long. He does a fantastic job. So ask your questions there. We'll try to do our best as well. But I think it's a fantastic opportunity to try that little bit of a long bounce. ADPN is pretty much already gone. MVIS, probably has at least a little bit of a shot to go here, especially if it can hold that 80-cent area that you're talking about, Arun.
Yeah, again, that stock is, it's one of those things. I mean, you were traded slightly differently. I did look at that on the 30-minute chart. So that one's going to be one of those long-term holders for me. It is coming off now. It's off 4 cents. Again, my stop is just for 82. So this may fail pretty quickly. But here's the thing. If it fails, right, it actually provides a pretty good opportunity on the flip side, which might be the better trade. If you get a flush through the top and they are still selling, even though the resistance level was here and they broke through and flushed some stops, maybe, you know what, maybe the downside is what's next. So I'm going to wait on this one. I'll sit through this one. Again, underneath 82 is a stop. If we come in underneath and we take it out, I might actually look to flip to short and look for the gap to get filled. I do want to make a couple other reads though, is Codex, like you said, Brendan, Codex 15 is going to be the level I'm going to watch on Codex here. 15 seems to be pretty important given the last few days of action. We got a nice little pop off on the 27th after market, some volume on the open the following day. So in this area, there is some resistance. So I'm going to see how much more we can get in terms of selling, and I'll use 15 as my sell side stop. Or if we take 13, I'm going to say 13.20, but I'm going to be very careful. I'm not going to take it in as soon as it goes. I will wait on this one to see if we can break down. So, I mean, that's all I got for now. I know someone in the chat was asking about JNUG. JNUG, this is my read on JNUG, 79.50. It's a nice gap above. So nice little resistance or support level here until 79.50. It does seem to provide some upside selling as well, or overhead selling. So right now we're dead center in this. We're selling above, buying below. We're going to wait on this one to see what we can do with this.
Yeah, you know what? Good point there. And I'm going to save you a couple of dollars to maybe make you a couple. We'll see, Arun. But I was looking at Codex shorting in front of that 15 if it rolls over there as well. We're going to have to pay for some of those shorts. So we're going to get on those locates. Usually it's a pretty reasonable price on CODX, but worth a while to have them. We only have about 20 seconds until the market opens. You give me a litany of names to watch here. I don't know who's on the bell, but it looks like it's going to be Valeria. So let's drop the countdown. It's Monday. We have a lot of crazy action. The airlines we're following. Tesla's also on the move back through 700, but 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There is the bell. Valeria, give it a good ring. Massive movement, of course, already in the market, but we are looking at immediately AAL trying to bounce off that 9 even area. So 910 was that low. That's that level that we're talking about here. And look, I'm going to have my stop through 910. It's at 930 now. If it's going to try and bounce off this, we'll give it one shot and one shot only. Big buyer I just saw on the level 2 here. Just got taken out. It was about 100,000 shares. Wish I had that for you, but 910 is approaching very rapidly. ADPN or APDN over $12 right now. Codex not moving, but watch out for that 15 area. Anything on your radar yet, Arun?
Yeah, you know, is that APDN? They're looking at 1220. That's a good level. This might actually break down to the sell side. They're trying to figure out what to do off the open, so I'm going to wait on this one. There does seem to be some action here in between 1220 and 1140 on APDN. So I'm going to wait on this, see if we can catch a pop off above 1240, and if we can, I'm going to step into a long and see if we can take the highs out. Another note with MVIS. MVIS did get very close to the stop, hasn't triggered it, so I'm still waiting on that one. Again, like I said, I might go into the opposite side because that might be the better trade on MVIS. Another one to keep an eye on, LUV, my favorite stock for today on the airline sector. It is trying to tail off here. This is what I was concerned about if we get into this gap. What am I going to do? I might have to fade this as we get near the gap, but again, hopefully it comes down to the bottom. 25.80, 85 is going to be the support line. If I can find a bid in front of it, I will step into the long and see if we can get some more action through the top. But right now, it does look like it's hesitating above 27, so I'm going to wait on this one. Hey, you know what? MVIS is back above now, or getting.
There's a massive offer there at 90. Yeah. Watch that on MVIS. But I'm looking at UAL here, trying to roll back to the bottom. I got a pre-market bottom of 23.25. That's going to be a stop that could trigger any second now. So watch out for these lows. The market is trying to get southbound here. We were just talking about American Airlines, but I think UAL could be the play as well. We're going to play this weakness if we can. I will jump you to STML if you guys are tracking this. I did mention that I wanted to try a fade at this one if it opened below 12. We have done so. There was an opportunity to get it at 1180 if you did. UAL just triggered in, so 23.25 did break. I got 21s to the south side already moving in the money for me. So the airlines, let's see if they can't get downside. It's not that I want to celebrate negative action for anybody, but look, you came in here thinking there'd be carnage. We're already flossing off in front of 23. Even if this breaks, we got 23.21 to the short side here on UAL. Wish I had American to go with it. Unfortunately, we don't have that. APDN is continuing to slide off, so I feel like I missed an opportunity to short that one. We got the airline short with a big bid they're trying to hold. 100,000 shares on the bid, trying to hold on UAL. It just bounced it a little bit. Let's see what happens on a retest.
Yeah, you know, another one I'm keeping an eye on here is Roku. I know we got a lot of sectors to keep an eye on, but this one's setting up pretty nicely actually on the long-term chart, the 30-minute multi-day chart here. About 115 even. Let's call it 115 even because I'm not going to take it as soon as it breaks. I actually do want to see what we do above there, but that has potential to go about $2, $2.50 or so. The bottom end is 110. So nice little consolidation here for. Oh, you know what? Hey, you know what? Forget about Roku right now. While we're waiting on that one, MVIS. Taking off now, 98, reaching $1. For anyone who wants to take the dollar break, this is your possible opportunity. We're coming up very quickly to that. So if this goes, this will move very quickly. So keep an eye on that, guys. Here, there's about 26,000 gone. 102 is the new price on MVIS. So now we know that selling that was there. You know, we came back through that 85 area to check it. It was there. So you know what? That stop is valid. We're going to hold this one, see how far this one goes. This might even be one of those things where you add more as it comes down.
Speaking of adding more, I'm going to jump in for the first time. INO failed off the top here. Big pop. I know someone was asking about it, but it tried to pop pre-market, get to $10, got through, faded in. It's making a secondary run here. If it's going to flush back to the bottom, you know I like to fade some of these plays. So I'm going to jump into the short if we can get it. Looks like it's SSR, so try to hit that bid. I'm going to give it to about 10 even. I just started a position initiating at 986. We got some of UAL out, but it's bounced off 23, so we might have to look for reload opportunity. Brendan, what do you got, buddy?
We were talking about those little airlines off the bat this morning, guys. Save, yeah, it did give you that 50 cent. Had to be really, really quick, but gave you 50 cents off the open there, down to 11.50. Bit of a bounce here, but some of the airlines coming off hard, guys.
Yeah, you see that bounce coming upside on UAL here. It hasn't actually even gotten to that 23.50 mark. If it rolls over, I'll add to my position. Otherwise, we're taking it off at 23.40. Codex just took the top off at 15, so triggered into the long there. Got myself 04s. We talked about that level possibly getting broken. So, hey, first long of the day. It's in CODX. It's in a stock that probably is going to go to the beat of its own drum here and immediately get a nice little win there. I'm going to look for reloads on Codex all the way up.
Yeah, you know what? I'm keeping an eye on Roku here. Remember, we were talking about Roku. We got distracted with MVIS. Now, Roku's back in play here. I got to bring this chart up here. Roku just took the 15. Now, here's the problem with Roku. The risk on this is over $1, so I'm waiting just underneath that 115. The spread is about 10 cents right now. So I'm waiting to get the right price to control the risk on this trade. It is a good trade. This is one of those trades where I will let it come back. This can go to 117 and still I'll be waiting for this down here in front of that 115. My price to get in is about 115.13 right now. It's about 50 cents away. So we're waiting on this one. The stop on this is just going to be underneath 114. So I'm going to say about 114.80 is the reason I choose certain prices is because of the liquidity in each stock. So you're going to see me go closer to the even level or further away from the even level. It changes with the stock. So 114.80 will be the stop. 115.13.
Whoa! Sorry there, Arun. Wowzers 23 taken out on UAL. I couldn't even get more shares. It immediately gapped to 22.90. We're still short at 23.21. Bye-bye, airlines. I'll have to check back in on American. I hate to be you if you went long in some of these names. We did talk about the possibility of the short. Look how quickly this reversal happened. It just snapped off 23.40. So I was trying to get shares on that turnaround, couldn't get them. Tried to get shares on the 23 even break, couldn't get them. Thankfully, we did have this initial short that we're going to hang on to. 50 cents in the money right now on UAL. I did hit the flush while you were talking there because INO took 10 even, so unfortunately that didn't work out. We did take profit on Codex. I still have some long. I'll throw the, I'm not going to throw the position board up on because the only other thing is that STML, and we are still short in the money on that one. But nice little pop here that I think will give us a reload opportunity, and that would be at 23.15 or so if we can get anything around that range on United Airlines. What a great move that was, already taking off some nice winners in the airlines.
Yeah. All right, Brendan, you got something for us there?
Just want to update that Code Diagnostics, guys. A little bit of an update here at 9:35. They're also saying that they've been approved for their test kit in both Mexico and India. So more demand possibly for CODX, guys.
Okay, all right. So I do want to notify you guys. Hey, you know that 115.13 entry? It got filled. Roku now up. It was up just over $1 before it came off just now. So I am waiting on this one. Like I said, I moved to the 1 minute chart. I entered with the 30-minute chart. I'm managing with the first exit with the 1 minute chart just to see if I can scalp the first profit target out. So that one's up about $1. What is it at? No, 90 cents, 91 cents right now. And MVIS is now messing around with this $1 mark after going through. So again, this was more set up on the long term, right? So right now, I'm waiting to see how much more selling we can get above this $1. If we get some more selling, I'll take some profit. A nice 13-cent win on a dollar stock is, a pretty good return, I think, pretty quickly. So we're waiting on that one. LUV. You know what? This was a stronger airline out of the ones that we had. So I'm waiting on this one to see how much more buying we can get. If we can take off the top and stay, then great. If we can't and we come off below that 26.50 mark, I want to see how much selling is left. Right now, there's nothing to do.
Sorry, just getting a big pop up there in UAL, and Tesla's moving as well. So I got to watch out for 23.50. That's my stop going to be on UAL. Give one shot to add in front of it. So we've already taken profit, and I want to stay to the short side as long as it's going to be a weak name. But you can't ignore this kind of price action. And watching Tesla here, 720, a bit of a level that we're going to work off of here. If they can break through that, wow! I didn't expect Tesla to be strong today, but you can't ignore the price action. We're headed upside. The market is isn't really bouncing too heavily, but you just can't ignore the fact that a couple of these names starting to run here. UAL going to add one time in front of 2350. Brennan, what do you got?
We're mentioning some of the cruise lines might be a little bit under pressure with the airlines today, but not so much. Royal, I mean, it did gap down 5%, but look at this break of the pre-market highs here. It just gave you at 39 or 38.5, I should say. Immediate move above 39 there for Royal, guys.
Yeah, I just dug my line in the sand there on United Airlines, but I think honestly another name that we didn't get to, CGC was in play just a little bit. Just want to get you guys to this. Constellation, of course, issuing some, going in with their warrants and taking up a larger position within the company. Now it's 1.6% upside. It was larger, massive flush off here. It just gave back over $1 in CGC, so they were a big gainer. Now looking to be negative. Well, not yet negative on the session, but let's look see if there's any kind of a pullback. 16 is the level I'm watching. I'll be shorting CGC if it gets to that 16 price. But I just got to watch out for this UAL because we had profitability on the first little bit. We tried reloading just now. And then look at this massive bounce, guys. So huge bounce. We've just come off from 2280. Couple of legs to the downside worked. We're going to take that last short. It's not. I think if it gets to 24 and tries to roll over, we'll be on that one again. I know you're asking about MVIS. We'll get to that when we come back from Brendan.
Oil names trying to bounce here as well. Oxy just straight to the upside right from the word go this morning. 1420 up to 1480. Consolidating here at highs. Watch this 15 above us, but XOM also on the move higher, guys.
Yeah, I'm watching MVIS get absolutely sort of shellacked downside here. There was that first support at 80.85. Look, if you've already missed this rollover, the first thing I'm thinking about is can it bounce off VWAP? Can it hold this level here? And is there a retest? So I'm actually going to do something we don't normally do, which is one of these names that's pulled back in. Pick a bit of a bottom and try the test along here. So yeah, VWAP at 90, you got 85 for support. I'm going to dip my shoes into the long side of MVS. It was some relative strength that we did talk about at that 70 band. I know that's a ways away here, but you do have a level that we bounced off at the open, which is at 85, 86. Now you're looking to see if you can do the same thing at a higher level. So I just picked some shares up at just under 92, 91.7 is my price. I think we can get close to that dollar mark if we get a bounce here. Decent size return if you take one of these penny stocks to the upside, but we are getting some strength in those airlines that we talked about, and you want to go back to some of those cheaper names. You can go back to LUV if you want. I'm going to get you guys to save very quickly. Spirit Airlines trying to take off 12 even right now. That's going to be a breakout for me. I'm throwing a stop in at that 12 even mark on save and see if we can't pick up a quick bounce along, Arun.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go back to that Roku. The management on that Roku, I've taken some profit here at 117. Keep in mind, I got in 115.13. So just under $2 on that one there. The rest of it's going to go to manage. I'm probably going to go 116.50, but not yet. I got to actually look at the longer term charts. While I'm looking at that, Brendan's got some for us.
Yeah, AGRX, guys, one that was also showing some strength in the pre-market, starting to go here a little bit. $3 got retaken, held. Now we're up to $3.30. Decent volume behind it. 20% move so far for AGRX.
Yeah, and immediately just got that break in save, so it took out 12. I got 12.05 on this little long here. Just looking to see if you can get to those pre-market tops. We had some consolidation around 11.85, so if it's going to roll over, that could be your stop or it could be an add point. I'm looking to see if we can get profitability into those pre-market tops. Again, when you're looking at a gap like this, yes, you could take out 1240 and be a runner, but the market's not supporting this move much at all. So I think we'll take a muted scalp win. If it breaks 1240, we'll probably only have about 25% of our position on. And then, of course, we have that stop down at 1185, guys. So we're going to see if we can take profits out here. I just took some out in the teens. We'll see if we can hold on through that pre-market top. So another win over here, just talking about save to the long side. I am still in that MVIS. It's in the money, a couple of cents or so with the 91.7 position that we have long, looking for a move back to that dollar. That's going to be the key target for me. Another mover here that I know we didn't get to, and it's a massive one, gapping down. David Buster's is down 16%. It's trying to make a bit of a bottom. I'm eyeballing on a return here. About 1160 is going to be the first level we'll take. Again, if it can bounce to the upside, Dave & Buster's want to take a trigger along at 1160. It's getting absolutely crushed, down 16%. But any kind of a bounce, I think there's an opportunity. 1160 is the price.
Yeah, you know what? Talking about MVIS, like I said, when I got in, I had no intentions of actually giving up on this trade. For the same reason Neil got in the second time, I held on the first time, right? I never had a reason to take profit just yet on this one. So this one is going to be one of those, I will hold it or I will lose on this trade. So we'll let that one go. Another one that you just mentioned there, Save. Save is based out, a nice little test underneath 1160. So I'm looking to get long if we can come back under the 1190 area or so, put up 40 cents in risk. Brennan, what do you got for us?
Yeah, just on that play, guys. Dave & Buster's, PLAY, the symbol here. $100 million share offering today. Looks like it was trading at 11.30. So between 10.75 and 11.25 on that offering for play, guys.
Yeah, that makes me not like things as much. I'm going to probably throw that order in the absolute garbage right there. I don't like that long play if we're talking offering styles. But Oxy, look, we were talking about some breakouts to the long side. I mean, we did mention if Oxy gets up towards that 15 area, for me, I was going to be looking to fade this puppy. We're getting pretty close here to rollover territory. You're seeing it sort of try to get to Friday's prices that close at 15.25. If it can't do it, guys, this is going to be a bit of a short opportunity for me. I did talk about XOM being a play to the long side as well, but the market is having some trouble getting its legs together, and one of the names which is having trouble is Apple dragging us to the downside. You saw that bounce in Tesla. Apple below that 287 mark, so that's a bit of a level here that we have to watch in Apple. 290 was a big one. We'll probably be trying to pick up this pop anywhere between that 287.50 to 88. I think is an opportunity to slide into some shorts. But the other name we have to get back to at some point is UAL. It's been a winner for me, but we're now through 24.40 to the upside. Big time mover there. Save still works in the money for us. We're in the money about 10-15 cents on that one, trying to get to that 12.40 mark that we talked about a little bit earlier. But right now eyes are focused on Apple. If it takes out this bottom, we're going to be going short. If it does make a move into that 28 around VWAP, we're going to try and short that as well.
Yeah, for me though, I'm actually focusing on BABA here. BABA taking out the bottom here at 193, just popped up on my radar here. And now this is a nice consolidation to work with. Remember, keep in mind, when they consolidate like this, that means there's a ton of volume. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna offer just in front of 193, try to get some shares there. I'm gonna put 194 as my stop. So it's gonna be just over $1 in terms of risk. Downside, let it go. This is a nice breakout trade in terms of the long-term perspective. So let's let that one play out, right? This is how I trade. So you're gonna see me holding on to these little trades a little bit longer here. Going back to Roku here, Roku's been, again, like I took some profit here around 117. The stop has been moved on this to just underneath 115.50. So it's about, you're locking in about 30 cents on the second half of my trade. Now, if we continue on, we're riding. We already took $2 on the first half, so let's let this one go a little bit. Again, when you take it off the longer term charts, you're able to kind of sit back and let it move, right? So that one, Baba is very close to getting me filled. Well, no, not anymore, but it was close for a bit there. And I'm waiting on that saves to kind of still bring
yeah, it's something. a little sleepy, but I can tell you what's not sleepy, Arun, here is United Airlines. I'm going to zoom out so you can see how big this move is. Took out the pre-market top, making a march towards 25. I had 24.66 as another level on the stock. It's blown through that. If we fail to get anywhere close to this this top here at 26.20, I'm going to be looking rollover all day long in the airlines here. But UAL, big bounce off the bottom. Somehow got bottom wick on our short. Brennan, what do you got?
Just watching Delta here as well. Just now, you can see the relative weakness between these two. Just right now, taking this pre-market high out 22.01. So off to the races here for DAL as well. Still down 8%, guys.
Yeah, this is disappointing for me in Save here that we're going to get some profit on that little break. But you saw what's happening in UAL, and you're certainly seeing Spirit not want to go. So, we are looking to see if it can make another leg here. If we hold 12 even on this little bounce, I'll zoom in for you guys to be able to see this. I think there's a potential to take another break at 12.20, but otherwise we do have our stop down at this 11.85 to 11.90 area. That's where I'm going to be getting out of Spirit. It looks like not as strong a move as we're seeing in United, which is trying to roll over. And like I said, if there's going to be a rollover, you're going to see me try and test this one here. So 25.13 is the new top here. 24.66 was a level for me earlier. You're going to see me test the short in and around that price. So second time, let's see if we can make this one work here in UAL as well as it did in the first, in front of 25, even just starting the position at 24.64. We are actually still long Spirit, despite the fact that it's back to that 12 even mark. Our stop is locked and loaded and ready to go. That MVIS is going to test that 85-cent level, guys, that you guys should be interested in. That's where our stop is going to be, and I'm going to be loading up in front of it.
Yeah, I'm glad that Brendan mentioned this kind of setup. I like this setup in terms of this kind of movement, this kind of volume. So I stepped in 22.01, just in front of that 22 even level. 21.37 is my stop. I want to see. I'm expecting to see some action here underneath this 90, in between 90 and about 65. A little bit of volume that comes in here to support this trade. Now, if it fails, we got a much bigger problem on this stock. That means they just confirmed this gap, right? So for me, I'm looking for some support here off this. So I jumped into the long here in front of the 22. I'm willing to put up about 65 cents in risk. See how this one plays out. Again, this is a more longer term play for me, right? So we're going to let this one ride out. Roku, now let's just go back to Roku. Roku is now up 250 in the money here on the second half of my trade. I'm going to move my stop down to 117, trailing stop. Again, that's a pretty good day. That's about $2. That's about $2 in trailing stop just off the open. Brennan, what do you got for us?
APDN, guys, continuing to fail here. We're back below 1150. 1150 was a little tiny resistance area on the way up. Big move back down through 1150. We're all the way down to 10. What a move if you caught that off the top there. APDN showing some weakness, guys.
Yeah, I wish I had jumped into this one on the fade play, but when it had come in pre-market and sort of gave you that nice little slide at the open, it had already given back a couple of dollars. So that's a difficult one to be into. UAL making another move to 25. So look, it looks like it wants to be strong. You're going to catch me at that 25 even mark. That's where our stop was. So unfortunately, we had to take that one off. I'm going to get you guys back to that STML in a second. That's about to break upside. But I want to go over to Apple again, guys. It's still hanging negative. It's trying to get to that 28 even mark. It looks like it's going to be a break opportunity if you can get through VWAP. I'll probably go short reverse long on Apple. We did talk about giving it a shot to fade, but it's looking strong as the market's trying to get to the upside here. So watch out for this 28 even area. I'll go tight stop on any kind of a short that we're going to try to get a breakthrough on Apple to the upside. Look, it's looked weak so far. It's trying to get positive. That'll be at 289. So I think there's a dollar scalp at least if it can break through.
Yeah, you know what? So that DAL, when we were talking last, it was down here underneath 22. Well, it took off the high again, 22.35. Now, here's a problem with this thing is starting to taper off a little bit. Every time we go up, we find some more selling. It's going to be a duel between what existed before and what is being developed now. So I'm going to be very careful with this. I might start to abandon this trade if it starts to act out more as we start trying to go higher and higher. So yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on this. I am still long. For now, I will still like it. But yeah, while we're waiting on that one, a couple updates there. MBIS back down to 86 right now. Now here's a problem with this chart. This is the 1 minute chart, right? We took off the top, we came back underneath. We're starting to develop some volume here. This should still be above the volume that was there pre-market. If we cannot go past 95 again, that means there was a misjudgment in the amount of volume in the market at that price point. So in front of that one, I mean. So at this point, I will dump this trade if we go back towards 95 and bail. So I'm watching this one very carefully to see what we do above there. Roku's doing its thing, right? Roku's back up at 117.80 now. That's about $2.60 in the money. Yeah, and we're waiting on this one here. I'm still waiting for Baba to get filled. It's very close. In the meantime, Valeria's got something.
Hey guys, welcome everyone who just joined our live trading show. Subscribe to our channel. We are live every day from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. If you subscribed, you'll be receiving notifications when we are back on air. Also guys, I know that a lot of traders, beginners are watching our show. Well, we launched last week a brand new educational YouTube channel. Subscribe to Market Wisdom by Trader TV Live and check out our first video where we explained what VWAP is. Hit the thumbs up and write in the comments what would you want us to do next. Also, Kevin doing a great job on the chat helping with your questions, and I want to be helpful as well. I will pick up one question from the chat and ask it directly to traders. Guys, keep the questions coming, hit the thumbs up and share the link with your friends. I'll see you later. Back to traders.
Thanks a lot. There are a lot to cover there. Go disco ball action. We talked about that quick short in front of VWAP, reverse long on Apple. We did take some shares short here at 80 and then reverse long, so we lose 25 and then make about 45 pennies on the long side. Going to hang on to this, guys. You want to see if we can't get back to that 290 area. So looking for about $2 worth of profit on the second half of this trade here. And then I think there's an opportunity to reload if we can hold VWAP. So a lot of ways to play this on Apple. I've jumped into the long finally here and see if we can take a shot at it. One last thing to talk about: if you accidentally get into a position like I just did, had a long trigger stop order to save a long on UAL, triggered me short. We just get out, pay the spread 4 cents. Don't want to have that distracting me. We do want to have an opportunity to play this pullback if we get one in Apple. Market just took out 2,800 on the ES there, so you are seeing some bounce and pep to the step of the market. That's why we grabbed this little bit of an Apple long. MVIS, my long, however, I'm going to go throw the position board up for you guys so you guys can see what we're working with here. we talked about the 85-cent area, and so my price here is 89.5, and it shouldn't be. It should be closer to 86, 87, loading back up in front of that stop. You're seeing the Apple that we have. That's actually the scoreboard. My apologies, guys. So, that's going to show you that we are up on Apple and MVIS. We did take that bath on Codex as well, and then STML, which we're actually still holding on to. So, one thing worth noting here is that STML, it is, because it's a buyout deal, you can expect a bit of a muted range, but it's giving you some opportunity. I do think if you wanted to scalp it, I've been trying to hold a short to work it down below that 12 even. It's holding that pretty well right now. I'm going to be loading up, but the story right here is Apple to the moon, guys. We're through 289, now over $1 in the money in Apple. I never got the reload opportunity that I wanted because it just kept on going in the money for you, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. No pullbacks in sight, but 290 is that level that we'll be taking it out in front. I did talk about that pre-market top. I do think there's an opportunity to get there. If it tries to roll, we can always trail this one if we want to. I'll wait for it to break and hold above 289 before I go ahead and do that, Arun.
Yeah, you know what? So a couple updates on my positions here. DAL, it's doing what I don't want it to do, which is start to stall out after we take out a high, which tells me that there's more volume up here. I've dumped the position. I'm taking a small hit on that one. That was about like a 6-cent hit or so. Roku, on the other hand, we're still managing this one. We'll get back to this. Brendan's got something in the meantime. We'll check in with him.
Francesca Holdings, guys, we were talking about this one a little bit last week, had a nice move actually back to the upside. They came out aftermarket on Friday and said they have now got concerns about continuing as a going concern and when it comes to cash on hand. So Francesca to the downside today, 13%, 14% negative territory. Not a lot of volume here, but one to watch. If it does get a flush through this 250 area, it could give you an opportunity. Guys.
Yeah, absolutely, Brennan. Someone's asking here about Netflix, not a name that we've really jumped into yet. If you're asking what I think about Netflix, it's hard not to look at this setup and not think of a short opportunity here. You are seeing some trouble at that 420 mark, and it's trying to roll over. Now, I just think you don't necessarily give it to the high. I think it's a little bit better to give it to that 420 to 420.50 mark is a little more reasonable. I just saw the market try to roll over, and we were trying to get that pullback in Apple. I'll keep you updated if we do get that. I'm sitting sort of in the mid-20s there trying to pick up some more shares on that long that we do have, but it just bounced off of 288 again. So if you're looking at Netflix, I think you take that shot with that 420 as you're out. The other name I want to get back to, of course, is Occidental. It's trying to hold the top, and I said I'd wait for it to make one before we roll over into a short. It might be doing so now. I don't want to get too impatient here with Oxy. It's ranging that 15.10 mark. If it can hold it a little bit longer, I think we'll dip our toes into the short here, maybe on a retake of 15 even. That'll be my entry. If it takes out 15 bid, we'll jump in and use that high of the day as our out.
Yeah, you know what? MVIS is the one I'm looking at here is very close. I actually want to abandon this trade, but it looks like I'm going to get triggered out here. So it's going to be a small, not yet anyway. We're still holding on. So hopefully we can get back above that 90. If
Don't do it, Arun.
I will build on that one. Roku is still there. So Roku is, we're going to move the stop just underneath 117. So Roku is going to be about 116.88 is the new stop. That's up about $2.90 on the second half. Here's the thing I do want to point out here. I know Sean's here. He's always loud and he likes to put it in your face. Keep in mind, guys, there's different styles of trading. This is kind of a more mellowed out trading for me anyway, so you might have less excitement, but the money is still there. So different approach, the same kind of money. So we are. Roku's now up $2.80 on that one there. Another thing I do want to point out, Baba, remember that 93 break that I wanted to get filled? Yeah, I got filled. That's a 30-minute chart here. I said just underneath that 93 up here. I'll pull up the 1-minute chart here. So we'll see 93 get filled right near the top. Again, long-term setup. What's the target? Nothing yet. I want to see I want to see if we can get underneath these 92s. If we start to stall out, I'll take some profit. Right now, that is up 60 cents in the money. Codex, I also took a long on Codex because Neil kept talking about it and Brendan kept talking about it. So I'm like, here, let me bring it up too. I want to get a piece of this action. So 1520 long. The stop is going to be 1450. So yes, it's a 70-cent risk profile on this trade. I do like the setup. This is the 1-minute chart. I want to see how much more we can get to the upside on this one. So 1520 on the upside. What do you think of that there, Neil?
You know, I absolutely like that play. I was actually looking at that myself. I know someone just asked me if I'm waiting for Apple, Sanjeev there, if I'm waiting for Apple to cross over VWAP. I think certainly, you know, that's been my out in terms of the long position that we have here at 288.06. I did mention we'd like to see it try to run to that pre-market top. I think you could maybe take a shot at reloading. I thought we'd get it down here at about 288.25 on that first little bounce, and I don't like catching it. If I don't catch that first bounce, I'm not going to jump in front of the sword if it fails to get back to those highs again. So we got our break break-even, stop lock, and loaded, ready to go. We already took profit on the first half of the position. That's the way you got to work it here. So it can't turn into a loser. There's no way we can lose on this trade at this point unless somehow, you know, our system dies and we can't get our stop out. But that's not going to happen to us here. I reversed in that MVIS. I'm looking at that sort of a 90 area that's going to work for me here, Arun. I know you're looking at that and holding on to the long. 85 was sort of the kill spot for me that I wanted to reverse at. So that's what we went ahead and did. In just a minute or so, we're going to have Brendan coming through with happening now. But I think the key is if you're working in some of these long positions, it's worth noting what's happening in the futures. And I actually want to get your opinion on this, Arun, because I'm looking at the NQ. We break that 8,700 to the upside, trying to hold above. Same thing's happening on the ES. We're trying to hold above that even area. And I kind of feel like with this Apple long, if we can do that, we should be able to take out that 290. But we're having a lot of trouble getting any upward momentum in this market.
Yeah, you know, okay, let's still jump into the futures here. This is a 30-minute chart, just going off of the last couple of days here. You'll see that we took the low out today off to that 27.96 or so. And then now here we are trying to get back above. Problem is, yes, it looks positive. Yes, it looks like the momentum is to the upside. But the problem is, one, there's a little bit of selling just above the 05s. So, okay, maybe we move our breakout point to 10. Here's the problem. Now you're running into some buy points from yesterday, from Friday, above 15. That's a huge wedge of volume. So you know what? The clearest level I see is 28.30 on the ES futures on the upside. Bottom end though, we might have a shot if we take out the 27.70. Keep in mind this chart looks a little distorted because it's not 24 hours. I do have to change out because I was switching through the stocks. This is set for the North American stock market, not for the futures market, which should go 24 hours. But in terms of level plays, yes, 28.10 through 28.15 might be a good point to sell if we get the sell action. But for now, there's nothing to do. I am not stepping in just yet. So we're waiting on the futures, not a whole lot going on. We got the Roku still going here. I'll pull up the Roku chart here. Roku is there, taking off, 1880. We're gonna let this one go. Again, we're trailing this stop, right? Codex, I know last I checked, Codex was a little out of the money when I last checked here. Oh no, it's come back in the money now. Codex is now stepped above 24 again. I want to see how much more selling we're going to get up there. So I'm going to switch from the 30-minute to the 1 minute, see how much we play with. If we start to stall out again, I will dump this Codex because I was looking for a lot more action through the top after we broke out. But one thing I just noticed after we looked at the 30-minute chart is if you go a few days back, we got that 1580 level, right? From 1520 all the way up to 1580. We took the 1520 on the breakout. We should have gone a little bit faster even after we drew back a little bit. So anything that slows down in this area is a concern. I don't need to hold on too long, so we're going to wait on this one. And while this is happening, we're going to Valeria to see what's happening now. Or Brendan. Brendan's going to do what's happening now.
Hey guys, yeah, it is 10 o'clock. We're going to check in with North American markets here and see what is happening now. Worth mentioning, March factory orders numbers just out there, 10.3% to the downside versus 9.2% expectations. So bigger than expected decline in March factory orders in the U.S. Yeah, here we go. North American markets, S&P 500 to the downside now, just 0.6% though. Remember when we were talking at 9 o'clock, these were all more than a full percent, more or less. The Dow still 1% to the downside. Look, NASDAQ tech stocks have gone positive. Apple leading the way to the upside for the NASDAQ. The Russell here, small caps still in negative territory, 1.3% to the downside. Here in Toronto, the TSX back to positive as well, with some energy names moving back higher after a negative start. Down in Brazil, the BOVESPA still a little bit negative, 2.6% so far to the downside. Some airlines in play here in Toronto as well. This is Chorus Aviation. They have a fleet of shipment planes that they use, so down 8% this morning. Same news is in the U.S., trying to get back above $3 there for CHR. The other big one, Air Canada, yeah, 7% to the downside for Air Canada. They actually reported earnings this morning that were obviously worse than expected, but trying to hold $17.50 here, got back above $17.50. Looks like it's breaking back to the upside. We were trading at 19.5 back on Friday, so big move down for Air Canada. Enbridge, wanted to mention energy stocks going positive, guys. Look at Enbridge. Yeah, huge move to the upside, 41.75 here, a bit of a pivot. We're now at 42.40 for ENB. So some of the energy names, oil stocks, helping the TSX go positive. We're trying here to start the new week. Back to you guys.
I'm going to floss it off there. We talked about Apple here, that reverse at VWAP 288. I think if you were really great, you did have an opportunity to pull back. I did sort of miss out on that little dip down. It did wick. It looks like it got to 20, but I was waiting for a couple of minutes later at 25 to 30 there. Unfortunately, we didn't get more, but we already had some on board at 288.06. I mentioned to you the next stop would probably be trying to take out that pre-market high. The futures are trying to make their move. 290 on Apple trying to be taken out. If it gets anywhere near that 288.50 mark, we're dipping back in. Secondary break here at 290, I think it's worth a look as well. So Apple, now my number one stock of the day after we had that fantastic long there, Arun. We're trying to get going on the futures, and it's to the upside, it seems. There's the 290 break on Apple. I always want to see when it fades out. The first time it tests it, it then comes back in, and some of those guys that just triggered long dump their shares, and I can get a better price.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out, because it is perfect timing in terms of location, right? It is a nice location. That 290 could give you about $2 before they hit the first resistance here. We're approaching it now. I actually want to see how much volume we get above it, because sometimes it's just a run on stops. I don't want to be a part of that, but if we get some sustained buying, that I want to be a part of. Keep in mind, just an update, Codex I've dumped. I don't like the way it's been acting. While we're waiting on Apple to show up here, I'll just put up Codex here on the chart. Codex, yeah, it's back up now above that 24 or 21 area that I bought into. I just don't like the way it's moving. It's not, for the risk that I'm putting on, it doesn't look like it's the greatest. So I'm going to move away from that, take a small hit on that, move towards Apple, which Neil brought up. Yeah, that is, yeah, we're at 290.22. We'll see how much sustained buying there is. Hopefully it's not just a run on stops here. We're still going to wait this one out. You can see as we get through here, you'll see tails. You don't want to.
Sorry, Arun, someone just asked in the chat, am I shorting Apple? No, we're longing Apple, guys. 288 break, 290 break. We're long Apple here. After that big turnaround, we took one quick short in front of VWAP. Once it turned, we just moved to the long side. You got to watch this market, and we did mention this rollover. We talked about picking up some long on a pullback, guys. So I also dipped back in here at 290.01, talking about that break. So we're still long again in Apple to see if we can get a third sort of leg to the upside. Brennan, what do you got?
Just watching Veristem here, guys. Sorry, just trying to get an order going. There we go. Yeah, long Veristem here. VSTM. This one was strong last week on some positive news around the vaccine updates type of thing. $2 here should go. If it does, we should get a little bit of a push here for VSTM. 13.5% already, guys.
Veristem. That's another one we should be watching. I'm also loading some shares into MVIS, which I reversed to long in the 85 to 90 channel. We'll see what happens. There was a 70 bottom that I think was pretty good here that we're going to take advantage of. But the story for me right now is this little Apple break. The reason I like this is you get this pre-market move here. We just turned from negative to positive on Apple. The market's trying to do the same itself. I think there's a secondary play to be made in Apple if it really wants to get going. And we're playing a little bit with house money. I think we can definitely give this one to that sort of 80, sort of back into that break-even 290 area and see how far we can run. So I got a break-even stop on Apple, and then we're just going to hang on to this one to the upside. There's really not much in our way here. We definitely missed a reversal when it came to the airlines. We're not missing this one in Apple. A couple of longs here. We're in the money again, 50 cents already, so no worries with this Apple long. Yeah,
you know what? I keep waiting. I'm starting to see some selling. I really like the fact that you stepped in there, because if this thing takes off, it's gone. But I am waiting to see some sort of check buying, meaning if they come back down and double check the amount of volume that's down there just underneath 190, just to confirm that, you know what, we're not just going out just for the sake of going up. There is actually sustained buying to move it up. So here we are, come back to 290. This is the time. I'm going to wait on this one to see if we can get some longs here. I want to see how much more we got. I'm waiting on this one very closely. Brennan, what do you got?
Just watching Zoom here, guys, popping up on a volume scanner. You can see a big volume spike just going off there as we headed through 144 even. Yeah, nice day so far. 3.7, 3.8% for Zoom. It was Piper Sandler upgrading this one today, guys.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not seeing any turn here in Occidental. I don't like jumping in these shorts unless I get an opportunity to see the rollover. So as long as it wants to hold, and continue the upward trend, I'm probably going to be staying away from it. It wasn't my pick to go long, so I'm not going to force the trade in Oxy here. I don't think that's necessarily the right play. You'll probably see me step away from that. I want to get to Carnival Cruise Lines, guys, because Carnival is trying to go positive on the session. You can want to sell off all you want, but if the market's going to go back up here, Carnival getting some juice. It's trying to get through 14 even. I did have written down a couple of breakout levels levels which are already gone. But that 14 to 14.20 is certainly a level worth watching on Carnival if it rolls over here. I think there's some short opportunities a little bit later on. So once again, we're just sort of long here in Apple. I was able to take some in and out in STML. I'll get back to that trading and maybe catch you guys up on how that's happening and how it's working out a little bit later on. It's a slow moving stock. Apple, Arun here. My initial thought wasn't to be adding to my position at 290, certainly, but I was going to go with a break even. If it did trade through and hold below, I was just going to get out of this last long. It is looking like if it wants to go here, it would be a bigger move, but the futures are trying to roll over. So what I'm actually thinking is instead of catching it on the way back down, if it tries to take the top off, that might be the way that I add more shares. So I'm now thinking about adding to my position if it breaks the high as opposed to adding at it right here at break even.
Yeah, you know, for me, what they did below the 290, that quick move just underneath 290 was enough to step me in. So I'm long now, 290.11, waiting for this one to develop something. In the meantime, we'll go to Brendan and see what he's got.
Nice look here for Fluidime, guys. FLDM, in case you're wondering, yeah, up 17.5%. Big move up. This was 3 o'clock-ish Friday afternoon. Ran all the way up to 440 up there on that high wick. They announced they could possibly have a blood test for COVID-19. Apparently, there isn't one yet. So FLDM, worth watching here, right at $4, guys.
Yeah, I'm just also watching the save here. Once again, we did take some profitability at 12.15, looking to get that move to the pre-market high. It bounced off VWAP. We tried to get some shares on the way back up, and we weren't able to do so. So we are still sitting in a profitable long. I'm actually long here at basically the evens, 12.05 still. I'm looking for that 11.95. We do have our stop down here at VWAP or just below it. So we are still in this long. It's just not really going anywhere. I told you guys that we reversed an MVIS, and we're trying to continue to work this position inside of the low end of the range. And if you followed along with us in the pre-market, we were talking about that 70 bottom. It was a 70 to 80 channel that I like to work with here. Now that we're basically holding this lower end, I'm giving this one to look. You have this top end of the range about 92 to 94. I don't necessarily want to give it to that. I think if you allow it to break VWAP and hold above 91 is a reasonable stop. I'm trying to work my price below then. If you get a flush of 85, I think it works into that bottom end band. So the first short worked out for me. I didn't reverse long. You can see how good that would have been. I know Arun was all over that. Now I'm back into the short and MVIS, looking to work our position in front of 90 even or so, and you want that break of 85 before you take too much profit out.
Yeah, you know, okay, so a couple of updates here. Apple, I know we're holding on, see how much action we get. I don't like it. I dumped it. I got out flat on that trade. I got it out at 12. I got in at 11. That's a penny covering the fees. We're out of that one. A couple of updates with Roku. Roku here. Keep in mind, I got in at 115, just above 115. First exit was just above 117. That's about $2 or so. I've now moved the stop just underneath 117.50. So just underneath all of this action here, you'll see on the 1 minute chart, I'm putting the stop just underneath that. We're locking in about 250 on the second half after making $2 on the first half. So that trade's locked in terms of profit. And the other one I do want to get to you guys, Baba. Remember that one we were sitting on for a while? Yeah, got that. Just underneath, or just in front of 193, came down about $1, went back out of the money. Now guess what? It's about 82 cents in the money, looking to break the bottom. So while we're waiting for this, we're go to Brendan and see what he's got.
Yeah, there we go. Upgrades and downgrades. Let's have a look at some other names that are moving around, maybe a few that you haven't gotten to yet. Big Lots here. I want to mention first off, upgrades on this side, downgrades over there. Yeah, Big Lots not having a nice day. 1.4%, still in negative territory, even with a couple of upgrades today. ConocoPhillips, PCG, guys, PG&E. Yeah, big move to the upside. They exited, remember, they exited bankruptcy protection going back a few months ago. Phillips 66, nice day as well. Chevron, Walt Disney, Nordic American Tankers. Yeah, those ones moving to the downside today. Wendy's also under a little bit of pressure as far as moving to the downside. I want to show you PCG here. Haven't had a look at this one in quite some time. This thing's back to 1090 for PCG, guys. Nice look here. Bounced off 1020 straight to 1080. Tight little consolidation here. Right at day highs forming, trying to get to 11 for PCG after an upgrade today. Nice look for them. There's Disney. We mentioned it in the pre-market to the downside, but trying here to retake these highs. Watch 102.50 and then 103, which was that little resistance point for Disney, guys. That's a look at upgrades and downgrades. Back over to you.
It's about time we get to the moon action on save. We waited basically all morning for this one. It did base off VWAP here. Nice little bounce at 12. We just took it out in front of that pre-market top at 12.40 we talked about. So you get your nice little 25, 30 cent win there. But that's not the big one. The big one for you guys is going to be Apple. Look, we've sort of been pounding the pavement on this one all morning long. We talked about that reload 290. It didn't really come into fruition for me. As Rune mentioned, it was kind of weak when it made that secondary bounce, but not so much anymore. The market is not really going anywhere. I am watching the ES, I am watching the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is leading the way, getting to the 87.50 mark. I'm now going to trail my Apple to make sure we lock in at least 75 pennies on the second half of this. So once again, we have another banger of a winner here in Apple, and we're just going to let it ride. So we have a trailing stop. We'll let it see if it wants to pull back, and if it does, I don't mind taking a 75-cent profit. We've already had over $1 winner on this one, and of course that was our third long on the reversal here in Apple. So whoever was sort of thinking that we were going short, no, we're long Apple, we're long for the ride. Market, once again, seems like it can't be stopped. Everyone came in thinking doom and gloom today. That has not been the case. Apple now $1.30 in the money here, and no signs of stopping as it continues to go up. I will slide my stop. Now my stop going to be at $1 to make sure we lock in that profit. Arun, wow, what's happening here in the futures, man?
I'm going to look down and shake my head as I see Apple take off, and I dumped Apple because I didn't like the action. Yes, that may have been a valid thing, but at the same time, you cannot not regret staying in this, right? Okay. On the flip side, though, hey, at least I still got Roku. Roku's up $4.11 from that 115 entry. It's at 119.22. Stop's been trailed now. I'm moving the stop up to 118.50, so we're locking in about $3.50 or so on the second half of that trade. Baba, I did get some out of Baba here down in front of that 192.40. They were starting to base out here. I didn't like the action. There's no point in holding on for something bigger when you're already seeing enough information to take out something, right? That was about 55 cents or so in the money on the first half of the position. The remaining half will stay until 194, so we'll let that one go. Baba and MVIS. I've been trying to get out of MVIS for a while now. MVIS here, I'll pull it up. It's one of those stocks that was supposed to do a whole lot more than it did. So here we are, just going sideways now. This is a 5-minute chart. I don't like the way it's looking. I am trying to get out break even. We have enough. The reason I'm looking to get out break even is because we have enough support down here to get it out, but I don't want to hold it for longer. Yeah, Brandon, what do you got?
I'm gonna throw the money down here for you guys. I did get trailed out of here on Apple, just to let you know. We did have that trailing stop. We'll take 75 pennies on that win. So your first reverse long, it's gonna be 50. It's gonna be $1.50, and then it's gonna be 75 there. So fantastic opportunities on name. Only one name short left, and that's MVIS. Brendan, what do you got?
Another one to look at here, guys. KLXE. This is a little tiny energy company. They announced an all-stock deal with Quintana Energy this morning, but just popping up here on a volume scanner, you can see big buyers stepping in around 140 up to 175, right at that pre-market high. Already 60% though, guys, on KLXE.
Yeah, CCL, someone was asking me about this name here. It did break through 14. I mentioned 14 to 14.20 was going to be that little bit of a zone. It's trying to continue to go here. If it does, look, if it fails here, I think that's going to be the spot of entry, a point of entry for me to a short trade. And again, Carnival was the name that I wanted to be shorting. Unfortunately, we didn't get an opportunity. The market's just going up here, guys. And another name that was upside, not so much anymore. That APDN, if you're not out of it yet, you should have already been. One thing I can note on the south side, every time it bounces, it looks like it's failing here at VWAP. So I think we'd give this one a shot, 1050 to 1080 if it gets up there, and maybe drop a little bit of a short. If it wants to keep rolling over at VWAP and now have a clean downtrend, 660 stock. It's still about $3.30. Big move away from getting back to where it was on Friday. There's always an opportunity it could go further. I think you might look at those shorts from 1050 to 1080. That's what I'm going to be doing on APDN, even though we haven't traded it just yet. I did mention I would get you guys to what's going on STML. It's a high volume name, and now it looks like most of the growth, I did try the short in front of 12. I've been going away from that now. We've been some long in front of 12 even, some out and short in front of 12.05 for the time being, but now it's looking like it wants to break up. Worth noting here, I think 1250 is probably going to run into some resistance. Of course, that dollar right would top out at 1250. So for now, I think you're long in front of 12 even, and then have a relatively tight stop if it does happen to break. But if it goes upside here, you're going to be shorting all day in front of 1250 if it can get there. MVIS now working the money to the sell side for me, Arun. If you still have that one?
MVIS, I'm still trying to get out though. I mean, you got much better prices than I do, so I'm still waiting on this one. It's either going to get triggered or I'm going to get out on that one. So we'll let that one go out. Here's the one that's popped off for me here, XOP. that is coming up to a level that I'm going back a few days. It's 52.20 or so. You're not going to see it on this chart because it's moving up pretty quickly, so I don't want to pull that one out. This might be a great scalp opportunity. It is gone parabolic in terms of level. This is pretty much what APDN did earlier today. I just want to see how we're going to develop the tops here. If we start to tail off, if we can come underneath 50.80 or so, 50.75, and start to really sell, or even if we come down here and start to really catch some bids, then that might be an opportunity to go long, right? But for now, I'm going to wait on this one because this thing is moving very quickly to some levels from previous days, but it's not strong enough. At the way it's moving, there's no way, even for breaks and multi-day level, there's nowhere to put the stop on this. So I'm just watching it from now. It's popped up off from the radar, but I'm not taking a shot on this one just yet. Right now, we're just riding that BABA train pretty much. Not even a train, it's a roller coaster, right? I got in front of 193, it goes down about 90 cents, comes back out of the money. I've locked some profit in. So if or whenever I take a hit, this will be a muted hit because of the first profit target or first exit. But for now, we are waiting for this on a this here. Let me pull this out here. This is a 30-minute chart here. This is a setup. This is a 30-minute setup off of multi-day. So we're waiting for this one to actually really get going. This might take some time. If you guys don't know, and I'm sure you guys have seen me in the past here, you know I take my trades and I hold them for a decent amount of time. So you guys might be waiting till the end of this show to see how this one ends up. Well, in the meantime, though, we are waiting on XOP. Neil, you got anything?
No, I'm just going to say in the meantime, it's arrows up as the market about or close to turning green here on the ES. As I'm watching this just huge move we're getting in AAL here, and I'd put the position board on for you, but all I have is MVIS short 87. That just took out that 85 level that was to the downside that I was talking about. So that's the perfect first profit center. We'll start taking shares out. We had that band from 70 to 80 that I'm watching, and we'll take the rest out there. So we have a decent position on MVIS. If we get that rollover, there's at least 10 to 15% in terms of profitability there for you if you work that short in front of VWAP like we did at 90 cents. So AAL's trying to roll over as well. If this thing gets back down below 10, and this is what I want to see. I want to see a higher channel, 10 to 10.20 now that we're making it. And if we can trade below that, I'm going to work into a short. Ultimately, I wanted to be testing American at some point to the short side. I held off because of that strong bounce that we had. At some point, you just got to jump into the waters. If we take this 10 even out to the downside, I'm jumping in a rollover here in a short side trade. MVIS, massive, massive move. I have to get over to that one. I got my stop loaded and ready to go on AAL. But MVIS, this is the flush we're talking about, baby. We're downside action here. We had the short in the pre-market. It had that 70 level. We talked about it if your early bird gets the worm. We talked about that channel here. Even Kevin was mentioning it. Now that we're trading lower, down below VWAP, we loaded up in front of VWAP here for an 87 half short. Now we're getting out some of it in front of 81. We want to take some more out in front of 80. Once it gets into that 10-cent range, we do think there's another chance it could retest that bottom at 70, but it's worth noting. That is on the daily chart that 70 is a significant level, so definitely going to be all out in front of that. I will take 15% if I can get it all day, every day on one of these penny stocks.
Yeah, you know, while you're raking in the money on MVIS, I am taking a hit off of MVIS. I've been trying to get out of that one for a while now, since I got that 91 long earlier. I finally took the hit, 9 cents, 91 long, 82 outs. That's done. Finally, I can move on and spend my time elsewhere. Again, Roku, we're just keeping an update on the Roku. Just because that thing is just going, I'm just letting it go. Stop is still at 118.50, so we're going to let that one ride out. This is now playing around with 120. There's nowhere to get in anymore, so I'm going to wait on that one. And in the meantime, BABA is starting to finally move down. We're waiting on that one. Futures, guys, keep in mind, 28.30 is a level that I said. We are starting to see some selling, not enough. Maybe if we break 28.30, I might take the shot on the short side and put the stop at 28.30. 2800 on the break, 28.30 on the stop. In the meantime, we're going to go to small cap recap, and we're going to figure out what's going on there.
A lot of choppy action this morning in small cap world. Let's have a look at a few here. Just watching Codex here, CODX. Yeah, big time reversal candle setting up here back into this range. We're mentioning $15 up to about $15.30, $15.40 as a little bit of resistance. We actually got to 50 up here and stalled out at 50. Yeah, big reversal candle setting up here. I was all kinds of short, got stopped out, flipped long, shorted again, stopped out again. So stopped out twice on this thing. Already today, I will not revisit until we are underneath 15 and holding underneath 15 to the downside for CODX. It doesn't look like the long working out too well on that one either. INO gave you a quick opportunity here. I was just working off this level. 1035, 1040 from Friday afternoon was resistance a couple of times here into the close as well. We're nowhere near that. We were down at 1015, 1020, depending on where you caught this thing, but 1040, the actual level there, had to be really quick at the open. Got all the way down to 970, so a decent little scalp there on the short side before, bam, should have flipped long on this one as well, above that 1035 all the way out. I had this line from a few days back up there at 1130, so straight to 1130. Looks like it's holding as a little bit of resistance at this point for INO. VSTM, just wanted to mention this one again, mention that $1.95 to $2 level, kind of chopping around in here, but going to be long this one above that 195. Positive news last week, continuation move today for VSTM. Guys, back over to you.
Punch through. That's what we like to do. Punching through twice, because I got a couple of shorts for you guys. MVIS trying to bounce through that 80. That's okay. 87 short is a fantastic one, and we got that one for you. But we did get that punch through on American Airlines. We just talked about it here through 10 even. I got the short at 97. It's already working down towards 991. Had a bit of a double entry there, so I scalped the break. A few shares for some quick moves here to get a couple of pennies. That you can do if you have direct market access. If you need the hold, then this is what we're looking for here. We want to enter into this 975 to 985 range. Once it does that, we'll take shares out on the way. We'll try to get a few more out on that little level there. If it does consolidate and then try to take out the bottom, I think you can re-enter the short at that point. So 997 short, we're working this one all the way down, still hanging on to it. I ultimately would love to see us retrace to VWAP. It doesn't have to happen for us to get a massive winner here. Another name that we just got into on this little rollover in the futures, Apple took out that 290 back on the downside. Now, I took one shot shorting Apple here earlier on in the morning, and that was when we tried to short in front of VWAP, reversal to the long. That's what led to it being our top stock of the day. Now we're trying to short again as the market rolls over in front of Arun's level. So we talk about a key level in the futures, we try to go downside, and we pick the one name which is a little bit strong, thinking it had a key break at 290 and we can get a nice little scalp. Hasn't happened, and I'm not going to give it past the 290.50. We've made so much money in Apple here, I'm not going to throw that away. I'm not going to be averaging into short positions in a relatively strong name either, so that's one thing you have to think about. I will average in or average up or down if I think I have the trend, if I have a level that I'm working with, which is a good one. In Apple here, it's more of a market sentiment type play. I could have put this on in the futures, but not necessarily my game. If it breaks 50, I'm just out of it, and we'll walk away with the two shorts that we have here on American Airlines, which is now down at 980. That's what we talked about, guys. Already in the money, 17 pennies on that one. We'll take some profit off. So that working out, even though we're not going to have it, I'm not going to throw myself, I am going to throw myself under the bus. That's what I should do, and Sean's going to do it here. That's what happened when you try to go short Apple, when all the longs have been working. So I'm going to stick with shorts in MVIS, stick with shorts in AAL. That's the weakness we're looking for. That's our key play. Stick to what you do best. I think you can have the relative strength of Apple continue to be some longs later on in the session. Arun here, that rollover, what are you looking at next in the futures?
Futures, again, I'm still waiting. 2,800 on the break. If it breaks that, I'll take a short. 2,830 is still my stop for that. In the meantime, right now we're at 2806. Keep in mind, here's the thing too. Even though that's my play, and I'm saying there's a ton of resistance between here and 30, or if we get near 2800, I'm seeing just enough. If the risk is really tight, and if there's enough buy-side volume for me in front of this 2800, I will even take a low-risk shot to the upside here. Let me pull up the chart here on the futures here. If we get near 2800 and we get to see some more supportive volume here, it's going to cost me about 5 points. 5 points and set up properly with the potential for a breakout, and then I can still short it near the top. I might take that. So I'm going to wait on that. And I know there's a lot happening here. I know Brendan's got some news for us.
Yeah, just watching some of these airlines, guys, coming back in a little bit. Finally stalled out here on UAA around this resistance from Friday afternoon. So I did actually go positive there briefly, but back to the downside now. A little bit of a pullback. We'll see what happens in this congestion area around 975. So a bit of a pullback, but overall, airlines still strong, guys.
Yeah, you guys talking about that little animation. I hope you liked it. That was Sean throwing me under the bus. Why? Because that's what he would do if he was here. I mean, you're sitting here. Why are you fighting trend? I got a great short on if the market continues to roll over in the airlines here. We still have this position. We're taking some more off. Now it's entered that channel I just mentioned to you, that 75 to 80. So, this is what I'm talking about, guys. We're going to the gates of hell. You don't fight the trend on American. We saw the massive bounce back up while we were trading in UAL, and we waited. We waited for it to really roll over. I didn't try to pick the top. I just wait for the top to be made and then I jump on the train knowing that I was going to be bearish on the stock. When the futures rolled over, when it failed at a high, we jumped back in when it retook that 10 level. We talked about where it might terminate. That was right here at 975. We've taken the bulk of our position out now in front of that 975 mark, and we're going to hang on to a few shares here, guys. I can trail this one to about 990, I think, to make sure we lock in close to 10 cents worth of profit. But if you can take a $10 name and take about 20-25 cents worth of profit and still hold on for a bigger move to VWAP here, that's what you got to go ahead and do. Brendan, what do you got?
There were actually a couple of earnings names before the open this morning, guys. Tyson Foods, one of them, TSN in New York, down 8%. Give you a really great opportunity up here around 58. Another little consolidation break there, 57.5. We're bouncing along, 55 even. Another little consolidation to the downside here, guys, on TSN.
Okay.
Yeah, TSM was one that I sort of was looking at the morning. I didn't really think there would be too much action to it, so I stayed away. I wish I didn't stay away from APDN. It was a fantastic retracement. This is almost exactly the type of setup I'm looking for. If this move here happens after the market opens, I think this late, that's not usually the timing I'm looking for. If I'm looking for a rollover, it tends to be about that 8:30 mark in the pre-market when we'll start to get involved. This one was a little bit later. I talked about it giving you the VWAP and then pulling back. I don't think it has that move in it just yet. It's looking very, very weak below 10 even. I think that's the next shoe to drop here. I'm going to get you back to the airlines for a quick second because I'm noticing in American, we are starting to actually hold this range here. And I was going to put my trail at 990. That doesn't seem that prudent when I look at that previous channel before the last leg up. 985 is a much more reasonable stop. I think you can try shorting it again if it breaks 75. Either way, I still have some shares at 97 here that I want to make sure we retain profitability on. So that's the new plan. MVIS hasn't moved as well, so we're still in the money on that 88 short, but only 5 cents now. We did get close to 10 before, and I am still looking for that 15 plus percent win on that MVIS short in front of 90. That's that VWAP area.
Okay, so a couple things on the chat that I want to clear up here. Which indicators are you guys using? I know Neil uses the VWAP. I use nothing. You'll see my charts are empty. I do not use any indicators. So in the meantime, we're just waiting. I just look off action and see where the support resistance is, how much volume is coming through, and that's how we trade. That's how I trade. And everyone trades differently, so it doesn't matter what we use. You guys can figure out what works for you, so go with that. I do want to point out with the airlines. The airlines are back in play here. 27 even. LUV, that's the stock that I've chosen to look at in terms of today for airlines. That's my stock that's going to refer to, or I'm going to refer to. So 27 even. If we take out 27 even, you know what? That might be a great short. The reason I say this is because, think about it, guys. 27.40, we try to put 3 times, we try to take it out pre-market, develop some volume, we broke out, right? Great. We come down, check that volume, great. You're expecting a bounce, fine. We do that. And then we barely take out the high and fall off again. There's a problem in this stock. Obviously, airlines have gapped down. We try to go up. There's a gap from the previous day as well, right? Overnight. So if we start to do that into a gap, my concern is that the amount of volume that we were seeing at 27.40, it's just a shadow of the actual volume that's there inside that gap. So if we break 27 even, I'm going to take the shot. I'm going to put up a buck in terms of risk. I'm okay with that. 27 even on the break, 28 even on the stop. It's worth a shot. This might take some time because of what's below 27 even, but the potential for an actual takeout of the low is there as we play. You know what?
Did you say takeout of the low?
Yeah.
I'm going to say right here, AAL, go to VWAP, please. I can use the force here when it comes to this stock. Look, we talked about this one. I'm going to keep beating this one over the head for you guys because you have the structure of the trade. Now, ultimately, you could hold, gambling absolutely everything. You're going to get a move into VWAP. But I think the reason you take some shares out here in front of that 75.80 is an opportunity to get more out. And now that it looks like it wants to bounce, you are going to see me take a bit more off here. I'm still going to hang on, and I do have still a little bit of my position off. But this is what we talked about. The legs of this move, we had an initial break. We have a scalp for those of you that have direct market access and want to take a bunch of shares and just make 5 cents. No problem if you got the leverage to do that. I think most of you guys are looking for a move where you can catch this here, that sort of 15 to 20 cent range. And then ultimately, I think your target's going to be VWAP here to take the rest out. I'm hanging on to some of this position. I'm looking for places to reload. It's likely to be at that 985 mark, guys. So may the 4th be with you on this short in AAL and also with you in MVIS, which I think is possibly going into the gates of hell if that one can break 80 cents. We're looking for a massive winner on that one. Look, Yeah, I know you guys are talking about Apple trying to slide to the downside here, and we did have a short on in this one as well. But I think one thing you have to do here is this might work out, and yeah, we could have hung on to that short and had a bigger win. But I think having the conviction and holding a larger piece of your American short, which is a weaker name, is the better play. So if the market had bounced and rallied, I'm probably not giving up as much profit on that AAL trade as what would happen to me if I get stubborn shorting in Apple. So it's not that I didn't think Apple could go down, it's just more conviction in the airline play. So what you do is roll some of those shares over into American, hold them longer, and just dump the Apple position if that's the way you want to trade. Sometimes you can trade too many names at once and then get yourself into some trouble. I like to structure my trading so that I can take advantage of when I'm right and limit my losses when I'm wrong. And it's going to happen to you from time to time here. Thankfully, we weren't right about this market rolling over, and the shorts have been good for us so far, Arun.
Yeah, you know, the shorts have been good, and I am jumping on board with your airline shorts here. LUV, I jumped in here just underneath 27 at 26.98. Like I said, guys, 28 is a stop on this one here. So again, a buck or so in terms of risk. We're going to wait for this one to play out. Brennan, what do you got?
Another little pharma, guys. TNXP, Tonix Pharmaceuticals, up 7.75%. This is a very teeny tiny little stock, so be careful if you're trying to short this one. Penny stock, in fact, 76 cents right now. This is another one in that vaccine-related space, so popping up on some positive news. It's got to get all the way up here to 80 before I'm interested, but pushing its way higher, TNXP. Let's go over to the TV. Valeria has a question.
Hey guys, welcome everyone who just joined our live trading show. Subscribe to our channel and you will receive notifications when we are back on air. Also guys, we created a new educational channel called Market Wisdom by TraderTV.live. Subscribe to the channel, we'll be posting educational videos constantly. If you want to know what VWAP is, how to short selling, and what are the best strategies for beginners, subscribe. And write in the comments under our first video about VWAP, what would you want us else to do in order to be helpful. Shout out to Kevin on the chat. He's doing a great job with helping you with your questions. So as I promised, I pick up one question each day and ask it directly to questions. Our viewer Brandon asking, what happens to your stocks when the company files Chapter 11? Will they be whipped out and new ones issued? Neil, can you help Brandon?
Wow, I mean, I can't say that there's a simple answer to that question when they file Chapter 11, because every bankruptcy is going to be a little bit different. So you really, if you happen to be holding shares when that does happen to you, certainly what you have to do is just read up on everything that is developing. Certainly, because there is the possibility that you're going to get completely wiped out if shares get delisted and it's going to relist. Like you might get zero, and then you're pretty much out of luck, but otherwise there is the opportunity that maybe there's a little bit to be salvaged for you there. So you don't always want to be just automatically dumping, especially if it's already given everything away. If you're sitting in a stock, it's already lost like 90%, and then they file Chapter 11. And at that point, a lot of people might hang on if they think there is a possibility that they will get something out of it. Just know where you stand in line as a shareholder, and it's at the back of the line ultimately. So it's just important to be knowledgeable about what's going on individually in that particular case. I really don't think there's sort of one size fits all kind of an idea of what you should be doing there. And that kind of goes with trading as well, as I sort of, I'm going to sort of pivot here to MBIS. It just broke 80 cents, and I just took some more shares out here. That's that 10% gain. I knew I had to take some profit here, and we got that 80 cent mark. But let's remember, you guys have been following along since 9 o'clock, and you should. Every trader has to prepare. And how do you do that? You wake up early in the morning, you make a watch list, find some levels that you're working off of. We had a long discussion in the pre-market in the chat about MBIS and why that 70 cent mark to 80 cents was an important channel. Kevin was all over it. We were talking about it. If it can break and hold below there, I'm anticipating we retest 70. So as much as I've got an 88 cent short, and 10 cents is a huge return on a stock like that, I am holding some of these shares to see if we can get 15 to 20 cents worth of profit at that 70 mark, where we got out in the pre-market as well. So a couple of good shorts on this name. We did try a long, it didn't work. Now we're back to the south side. The market may be not doing a heck of a lot, only down 0.5%, but you got the right names on here, and guess what? You're going to be having your jaw drop of what the profits are going to be able to make. So follow along, guys. Make sure you are tuning in at 9 a.m. This is what it's all about, guys. You got to prepare as well as be ready to jump into whatever is moving, as you see when Brendan jumps in with some of these random names.
Yeah, you know what? You got to be smart, and you always got to prepare, right? And then you got to execute after you prepare your daily stock list and prepare your moves, right? So a couple updates on the positions that I've been carrying. Roku, guys, it's 1850. Remember, that's a trailing stop on this one. That'll lock in about $3.50. It did come off the 120. That's okay. It might be losing its steam here on the upside, but we'll just leave it there, let it do its thing. If it goes up past this high again and does something else, we might move the stop. But for now, we're locking in 350 and letting it do its thing. LUV, guys, yes, I did say short. I'm taking the short on this. I like just enough. This might be one of those trades that just kind of takes a little bit of time to develop. It's not going to go through. There's a ton of action below, but I think the setup is just enough to actually be worth taking a short, but not just yet. I'm sorry, not just get out right away. We're waiting on that one. The other one, BABA, finally did its thing. That roller coaster that was BABA finally did its thing. So we are going to be waiting on this one, moving the stop up on this here. As I am talking about that, I'm actually looking to get that long. Remember that low risk long that I was talking about on the futures? Yeah, I just stepped into that one there. 2806.50, a tight, super tight risk here, just below that evens. The reason I take this trade, and let me pull up the chart on this as I explain it. The only reason I even take this trade knowing that we're working this level is because the risk is so low, and if it takes off, I might actually have an opportunity. So we'll get back to this. Brendan's got some. We'll come back and we'll talk about this after.
Yeah, another name we were looking at last week, guys. AMC Theaters trying to hold 450 right now. So big move to the upside right at the open this morning. We tested 4, got all the way up to 480. Trying to hold 450 here. It's been down to 450 a few times, bouncing off of it. So, I mean, a name that's been in the news, obviously, over the past few weeks, trying to hold a key support level, guys.
Thank you very much, guys. We're just sort of mentioning in the chat, I'm back looking at Carnival, and look, I talked about CCL and said I was going to be involved in it today. You don't have to force trades. We traded 5 or 6 names here. Actually, it looks like 8 names I've traded so far today. You know, ultimately, UAL was not the greatest REIT. We had an initial great position on it and then didn't work out after, but it was all about American jumping to that trade. But I think if Carnival can sort of hold this lower level here, this 1410 recent top, if it holds this range and rolls back over, I think we jump into the short at 14 even. I just don't want to see it break up to 1420, 1430 before it does that. That would be a little too strong in my mind. So if it doesn't make that move up, we'll take this leg down on a 14 short if that even level breaks. I do like that trade. First time in Carnival Cruise we'll be doing that. I am going to jump to Macy's in a second for you guys. I know you guys have been asking about that one. I have a bit of a bias, and you know, Sean and I will talk about this all the time. It's been a while. We've been doing this show for I don't even remember how long. It's been a couple of months on YouTube here, but we're doing it internally for a while. And one of the things we used to always talk about is shorting retail. And Macy's was probably one of our more profitable shorts over the long run. It is trying to bounce here with the market, and I know someone here is talking about might take you long here. I'm actually looking at the rollover if it can make it. It's a very similar setup here to what I just pointed out on Carnival. I think really if you're holding this 530 mark and then make a slide down into 522, you'd be thinking about a short. Here's why you're not going to do it. At least I'm not going to do it. You got VWAP right here at 518. I think you can give it a shot to trade below its pre-market level, that 522. Allow it to enter that range. Allow it to break VWAP and hold. Then maybe think about shorting. You give up 5-10 cents sometimes on a move to save yourself 20 or 30. And I think it's a little bit too strong holding and bouncing above VWAP for me to jump into the short retracement there. So if you're longing it, maybe that news makes you feel good about yourself, but I'm not jumping into a short on Macy's the same way I am in Carnival if we get a 14 break. Brennan, what do you got?
A little bit of news on Macy's today, guys. They did say they're going to open 4 Dallas area stores, so making the move, one of the first moves as far as retail goes, to open a brick and mortar store. Guys.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, certainly. Look, things are opening back up. I talked to a good friend of mine, who's a doctor in Texas, and he's talking about things going back to normal in certainly some places. And you got to make sure that I think for traders here, what we're looking for is, you know, is there any sort of disruption in terms of what demand is going to be like when it comes in? Like, this is what you want to read. How many people are actually going into a restaurant when you have 25% capacity? What kind of restaurants can survive if they only have 25 to 50% capacity? So as states come online and as Europe comes online, pay attention to what you're seeing when it comes to data, because you can start to think of, well, what's going to happen to retailers here? What's going to happen to some of the traveling industries here? Are they overpriced at this point, even coming back in? I think there's an opportunity for that to be true, but I don't want to leave this man waiting. It is time to go to our big board and sector watch with Brendan.
Yeah, a bit of a mixed screen once again so far today. We'll show you. It's still negative territory overall, but energy stocks way over there helping to the upside. Now just 0.5%. To the downside for the overall S&P 500. All the industrials really weighing on the market today as far as some of the airlines in here. There's Dow, AAL, Love, UAL. Obviously, those are the big decliners on the day. Better part of 10% to the downside for most of these today. Over here, we have HWM, TDG, RTX, and GE also 4+% to the downside. So industrials really weighing on the market so far. Some of the banks are weak as well. It's interesting. These did start relatively strong this morning in the pre-market, but have since gone to the downside. KeyBank there, MTB, SIVB, and CMA all 3+% to the downside. So if you're looking for weakness, some of the banking stocks and industrials going to provide most of the weekend or most of the weakness so far. My head is still on the weekend apparently. Real estate stocks here also in negative territory. Every single one of this group in the red so far. So have a look at some of those, a little bit smaller, but worth a look. Yeah, energy stocks, the story here, offsetting all of the decline of most of these groups. Obviously, still 0.5% to the downside, but pick your name here. 5% for HP, little one PSX, 6%, Hess 4.8%. There's Apache, Fang, EOG, you name it, going to be in positive territory for the most part in the energy group today. Oil did go positive, that is why. Communication stocks, some utility shares, pharmaceuticals as well, also mostly to the downside. But this group here offsetting some of this weakness, leaving the market, guys, just 0.4% now to the downside. Back over to you.
Thanks a lot, Arun. I did take one other position here. That's at CCL. It did make that break of 14. It's now holding this channel range. I said I didn't want it to test 14.20. I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive with my out here. The market's bouncing. Ultimately, we're seeing a little bit of a bounce in the airlines too. So I'm just going to give it only to 14.15, and it's going to seem like a relatively tight stop. I'm short at 14.02 here, but I don't want to get caught in an upward trend. So, I did think that you'd have a little bit more consolidation once you had a break down at that 14. However, I end up making bottom wick in that move when we get the entry to the trade. So it's not that it can't come in. I think you just want to make sure that you are mitigating your risk a little bit on this trade. I think you can limit how much you want to be adding to it. At least that's what I'm going to do. And I won't give it to 20 like I would have initially. I think if it had held down a little bit longer, then I'd have a wider stop. But given how quickly it reversed, we're only going to give it that, call it 15 cents plus slippage. And if it retraced in, not even into VWAP, if it retraced into this little 1370 bottom here, you do have 25 to 30 cents worth of upside. So in that regard, it is sort of close to worth that 2-to-1. And then initially, if you get that 1350 mark, I think that's what we really want to happen here. So the market can roll over. And again, if this works out, you're going to see me have given it less and maybe taken only half of what I would have gotten into this one normally. But I think on some level, you have to appreciate some positions more than other ones and then sort of adjust your risk accordingly. I'm going to throw the position board up for you guys, because I know I haven't done it in a little bit. See if we can't get this to work this time. AAL, we still have 998 short. I know you guys keep talking about what I think about the airlines. I've talked about this. If it bounces past 75, I'm out. If it breaks 950, I think we're testing the bottoms and it's going to be an absolute home run. We still have MBIS here at 88 short. It keeps trying to break 80. If it does, I think 75 to 70 is a worthy target for an out. 70 is a big level, so make sure you're out in front of that. I'm not jumping longs unless I see some real consolidation down there. And then, of course, we just got that Carnival 1402. It's now in the money here, but like I said, if we gave up some profit by not getting into as many shares as we could have, that's perfectly fine. We think there's relatively weaker names here, and you have to adjust your risk accordingly. So that's my 3 shorts. Haven't had a long in a while. We'll start hunting to see if we can find some of those.
Right, so back to the futures here. This is starting to taper off, so I'm going to be dumping. I'm trying to dump it anyways. I'm trying to bail on this trade here. The futures position that we were talking about here, I'll pull it up the chart here. It had some potential to the upside. Keep in mind, this was a dangerous long. It's just one of those trades that I'm taking just because there's enough to take it, but not enough to hold it. So we're going to be very careful on how much we take in terms of profit. We're going to be very close with the management of this. Yeah, it was about 5 points in the money and then came off a little bit. So I've made about a point and a half on that one. That's perfectly fine with me. I'll move on from there. It's in the middle of nowhere for me. It's got to break 2800 to the downside or 2830 to the upside to take a shot on either direction. For now, that was just me taking a shot with just enough action to see if we can go towards that high. Didn't look like it, so I bailed on that one. Couple updates, guys. BABA, yes, it hit the trigger just above 192.40. I'm out. It's now back down. That's perfectly fine. I'm okay with it. I'll move on. That's a 55-cent winner on pretty much 55 cents on the first one, and I think it was about 52 cents on the second half. So that one's done. Roku is still doing his thing, going sideways. Remember, we got in here at 115. We took some profit at 117, just over that. Now we're at 119, just underneath 120. So keep in mind, that's almost $5 since that first entry, guys. So we're just going to let that one go. How do you manage? Some people may have questions on how do you manage when trades go. Well, you figure out where the areas of action are and you put your stop just underneath it. In this case, I'm seeing a lot of action around 119, so I put 118.50 because there is some action above 118.50. So I'm hopefully between 119 and 118.50, I get enough support for this trade. Sometimes you make mistakes, obviously like Baba, but it's perfectly fine. Futures, that's done. LUV, yes, I took that short. Yes, I'm still waiting in that trade. It's not doing a whole lot. So in the meantime, guys, as the stocks are starting to taper off a little bit, and I'm waiting on the futures to give me some more action. If you guys have some questions about stocks, just put them in the chat. I'll get to them at some point, or I'll get to them more often than not. But yeah, I'm just looking around for stocks. If you guys can suggest some ideas, that'd be great too.
I think some guys are looking at Codex again, and I actually kind of a differing opinion here. Someone was mentioning, is it a long? I'm not going to say it's a long here. I think when I'm looking at Codex, I'm wanting it to break this 15.10. I want it to get above VWAP and break 15.10, maybe even 20 before I dip into a long. And I think you can scalp some off in front of high a day. But at this point, you're seeing it make a move up 11%, and then hold a range here primarily below VWAP. A lot of times that's going to indicate a shorting opportunity. I think even if you only give it to 15.10, 15.20, you're now risking 15 to 20 cents with a possible reversal. If it takes out this bottom, there's every good reason to retest 14. So I think you can play this one both ways while it's inside of the range. If you didn't pay for the shorts, I think we paid maybe 4 or 5 cents for locates, which is reasonable on Codex. If you didn't pay for them, you're only looking at the long, fair enough. But for us, we can go both directions here. And from this little base, I'd probably be looking at both of those things. So I'm going to go ahead and enter a small short position with a reversal to long at about 15.20 or so, and then see if it can't add to the position if it were to break 14.75 to the downside. But right now, Brendan, what do you got?
I was just looking at the same thing here. CODX, I mentioned during the small cap recap, not interested in this to the downside until it was clearly holding underneath 15 once again. And sure enough, we are now consolidating back. Just, I don't know why that line is there. We'll get rid of that. Yeah, we are holding below $15 here. So let's see what happens. Couple of ways you can play that. Like Neil said, 15.10 up here as an out, or wait for this to break down here and then play the breakout to the downside. So a long way to go either way for CODX, guys.
Yeah, and as you mentioned it, I'm picking this one up myself. And again, this is not me saying you can't go long in this name. I'm not saying it isn't a breakout through 15.20. I'm not saying it can't get to 15.60. I'm just simply saying this is a trade right now to the short side. That's what I'm seeing. Just like you, Brendan, I have 97 short. We'll look to think about adding here at 14.75 on a break. I like to play it both ways, guys. I think that's one of the things you can do. MVIS. Look, I wanted this one to get to that 70 mark. Unfortunately, just didn't have the juice to do that. It's going to be a big trade for me, and ultimately, you should always be happy with a big winner. Had a decent idea on this one in terms of consolidating around this sort of a VWAP and shorting in front. We get all kinds of profit out in front of that 80-cent mark, so you get that 10% win on the bulk of our position. However, when it gets back to that 85-cent mark, you want to make sure you lock in some profits. That's what I went ahead and did there, locking in some profit on the long in MVIS and actually accidentally reversing, but I didn't mean to. So we're just going to get out of that for about a penny win. Every now and then when you get an accidental position, you pay the spread and lose it. You pay the spread and win on this occasion. So as much as I just won on a long position, don't worry about that, guys. We drew a line in the sand at VWAP. We shorted in front of it. We knew there was a 70 to 80 channel we talked all about this morning. Got out in front of that. Here you can see all of my executions. I feel like I'm Sean on this stock here. Had about 20 outs down here. And then when it comes all the way back to 85, and you just want to lock in some profit for me on MVIS. Ultimately, if it's going to go back into that 70 to 80 channel, we're not going to have any trouble getting back into it. We're going to be able to get into this position again between 80 and 85. So why not just wait for it to happen? Why let it retest VWAP? If it wants to go back to 90, I think there's another trade there. But right now, it's time for Money Talks with Brendan at the big screen.
Hey guys, yeah, currency time. Let's have a look at some of the major pairs we like to follow throughout this session. Some interesting moves so far to start the new week. Going to focus on the pound today. Negative territory here, about 0.7% to the downside for the pound. We're back below 125. So 125 was working as a little bit of support. Where is it back here? Last week. So the end of last week, we were saying bounced off 125 a couple of times after testing this high from way back when at 126. So back below, not a lot of news pushing this around today, but negative look for the pound, 0.7% to the downside. The euro also weak today, about the same amount, in fact, back to 109 for the euro, 0.7% to the downside. Canadian dollar basically flat so far, 70 and change. We got below 71 cents after spending most of last week above 71 cents. So relatively flat so far. The yen, the franc back in positive territory, both of them. Australia and New Zealand as well to the downside today. New Zealand did have a manufacturing number out early this morning. That was a little bit weak. So to the downside, 0.7% for New Zealand, 60 cents, for the New Zealand. The Kiwi, Aussie there, 64 cents to the downside today as well. Cryptocurrency is not really doing anything. We did see Bitcoin was higher earlier on, kind of coming back a little bit, 0.8%. We're trying to get back above that 8,800 level and hold above 8,800 was support for the past couple of weeks. We're coming back below it now. Ethereum not really doing much to the downside, 2.5%, 204.5 for Ethereum. Let's look at some of the currency markets. Let's go back to Arun.
Yeah, you know, as we're waiting on this market to go, futures going sideways. I'm going to step into Codex, not in terms of position, just to start analyzing it now. I'm marking off 114 or 1450 as the bottom end here as a support line. I am looking to the left. I see a lot of action here in the 1480 from pre-market around 750 this morning, and then we got a decent amount of buying after the open around that same area. So you know what, 1450 sits just underneath all of that. I'm putting the top end at 1510. So the way I would play this is if we break out either direction, I will take a shot in that direction. So if we break 1510, I'll take the long, put the stop at 1450. If we break 1450, I'll put the take on the short, put the stop at 1510, right? That's my read on Codex here. I know in the chat somebody was asking about Macy's, you know, call on Macy's because they're expecting malls to be open this Friday. Keep in mind, don't jump the gun, right? Yes, great, malls are going to be open, but at the same time, what's the consumer appetite for retail shopping going to be? Is everyone just going to rush to the malls because they want to shop? At the same time, is the stock going to jump because of the expectation? So just be aware of the factors that come into play. It's not just a matter of knee-jerk reactions in the stock itself. It's if you're looking for sustained movement, you do have to factor those things. I know Neil likes to talk about a lot of those things. He takes a more macro approach on making those reads. You're going to see a lot of my reads are more technical in nature. So when I look at a chart, that's what I see. But at the same time, in this situation, you do want to be aware of the scope of the problems that exist. Even if society or even if the economy opens back up, a lot of people are pretty comfortable getting stuff shipped to their house right now. So Amazon is raking in some money as long as, and so are the delivery companies, right? So keep in mind, there's a lot of factors in play in terms of trading the stock, day trading the stock. Yeah, it'll be there. It'll be there. Opportunity is always going to be there because keep in mind, you also have retail sales and figures that'll affect that stock as well. So TJX, Macy's all fall into that same group of companies, right? So that's something to watch at the same time. Let's just update you guys on the positions. I'm not holding a lot. I've got 2 positions left. LUV on the short side. Let me pull that one up first. LUV, yeah, it's still sideways, doing a whole lot of nothing. Yeah, this will be in the chat. Someone said, asked about patience, and Valeria said patience is a key. Absolutely. I've been in this trade for a while now. This is, I don't even know what time it is. It's almost about half an hour now, and we've done absolutely nothing, but nothing has changed. So for me, the stock stays, the position stays, everything stays. We'll move on.
I'm going to hit the confetti here for our good friend Codex. I know you were just talking about that as well. I mentioned here in the chat, look, I think ultimately for me, because I take this in front of VWAP, I'm always going to take profit out in front of that 1475, knowing I'm trying to add back into the position. And the reason I do that is if it bounces back to VWAP, I want to load back in. And if it stays in that range, I want to sort of be scalping 25 cents over and over until you get the break. Now it has broken. So my price is now 1481. I'd give give it one load in front of that 1510, but I'm playing with some house money here, guys, and we're very, very happy to do that. Before I throw to Brendan, I just got into Oxy on a break at 15, but I want to, for those of you that weren't following along, it was a holiday in Europe for most of the markets across the pond there, but the profitability was there on Friday for Day Trade the World. You're going to see leading the way in New York, 17,500. I'm a little bit surprised that NASDAQ was the number 2 market coming in at 16,000, given the massive move that we saw in Tesla, and what a tweet it was by Elon Musk, giving you that massive move to the downside. And the fact that it's recovering today is a little bit interesting to me. I would not have seen that coming. We've had good shorts. Thankfully, we didn't try shorting in Tesla, but big numbers across the board. You see TSX 36,000, Amex 5,500 as well. So solid numbers on Friday. Brendan, what do you got?
Little one we talked about earlier, Fluidigm here, FLDM, kind of giving you that same look as CODX right now, just using 380 as a bit of a pivot. So we got back below 380 and then it failed up here about 388. Pretty hard reversal back down to 360. So same sort of idea, tight little consolidation below a key level. If you go back to aftermarket on Friday, this 380 came into play as well. This thing, if it does break this low, long way to go back to $3, guys.
Yeah, look, guys, I just mentioned to you guys we got Oxy on the rollover there. It broke 15, it broke VWAP. You see that little wall? You have to have patience sometimes, and then when you're patient and you have a good setup, you can floss it off and be happy and celebrate later. But you can jump into this short if you want, picking a top. And I mentioned this on the way back up at 15. I started thinking about where I wanted to grab that long. And I think the first rollover maybe was an opportunity, but again, I said then I still wasn't buying into it. It wasn't until we held below this little range. It makes a top end range here about 15.15 to 15.55. Once it gets below that, you're working in a channel, then it makes a test to the downside. Now you can take that profitable trade short. I'm jumping back into MBIS as well as it tries to hold that 90 area, guys. So here's a huge move actually now. I'm gonna have to take some profit here in Oxy as it just got briefly below 14.75. We got a 14.98 short. Let's get a bigger rollover here. What a fantastic morning it has been. If you waited on those shorts, your net's going to the moon like mine is right now, because Carnival Cruise Line as well, heading southbound. It's now back to negative on the day. We talked about working this one down to VWAP. I still have like 85% of my position, and I want to move down to 1350, but I told you I would be taking profit off between 70 and 80 as well, so I should have only half of my position if we make that move to VWAP, which looks like it's coming, guys. And now, our European update with Valeria.
Hey guys, welcome to European Update. Europe is in negative territory today. Only Britain is up just a little as 0.26%. Germany is down 3.09%. France is down 3.75%. Spain is down 2.74%. Russia is down 0.78%, and Italy is down 2.63%. Some quick news from Europe. European stocks are following negative trend following Asia, and also European stocks are following the negative trend set by Asian market after rising tension between Washington and Beijing. France announced that it's not going to quarantine its UK travelers and from Schengen area. Russia announced that there are 10,000 new coronavirus cases in the past 24 hours, which brings it to the record high daily number. That's all for today, and I'll keep you updated. Back to traders.
Thank you very much, Valeria. I'm going to throw the position board on, but first I'm going to drop an evil laugh, and it's going to go in the wrong place, and I psyched you out there, guys, on the board. But I am going to put the position board on here. We do have 5 shorts on, one that we just got into. We still have American Airlines, believe it or not. We're still short at $9.97. That's down about 40 cents in the money. Like I said, it's binary for me at this point. Breaks $9.50. I'm looking a home run to retest the lows. Otherwise, 75 is my stop. We'll lock in profits there. Carnival short at $14.05. That's down at $13.77. So we're in the money about 30 pennies on that short. We talked about that one. The stop up there at $14.15. We added to Occidental here. 15 even break, 98s. That's also in the money for us on Oxy. It's at $14.82, so 17 pennies in the money on that one. MBIS we jump back into in front of 91, so another short here at 89.5. looking to see if it can retest that 80 mark. If we can get another 10% return, only risking a penny or two, so about 2%, I mean, we'll take that all day long on that short. I think I covered them all. We still have some Codex in front of 15. We took some profit out. I'll load back up if it gets anywhere near that price. And of course, we talked about our stop on that one. I will take a breath and drink a coffee. What are you looking at, Arun?
Yeah, you know, I'm looking at that futures, right? The futures are getting close to that 2800 level. I'm looking to short this thing if we can sustain the selling of below it with the 2830 stop. Let me try and pull the chart up here. Here we go. This is what I did earlier here, just trying to make a play off of it. Nah, didn't go anywhere. So now I'm looking at 2800 on the bottom end. 2830 is a stop. That's going back till Friday. So we're going to try to play this gap in terms of selling. If we can get that short below 2830, remember, it's a 30-point risk profile, right, for a trade. If I pull this chart out, this is what it looks like. This is a 1 minute chart if I pull it out. So 2830 sits about right here. It's right at the top end of about 2 o'clock, 2:15 from Friday. So it's a high risk play. It's a 30-point risk, but the downside potential is much larger, especially because that means we rejected the gap. That means the volume was expected to be there, confirmed to be there, so the move should be that much bigger. So I'm willing to take a shot on that for a 30-point risk. I do want to clarify a couple things though. I'm seeing on the ticker, our position ticker here, there's a lot of trades. I think it goes based on the last order that was sent, not necessarily the positions that are still in. I am only in 2 LUV. I still got that position. Finally, that thing is starting to move. We waited. Finally, about 40 minutes later, we're finally about 20 cents in the money. We're still waiting on this one. Hopefully we can get another 20 cents before I had to start making decisions on this. Remember, I was risking $1 on this. So I'm looking for a lot more in terms of movement. And on the other hand, Roku. Oh, my friend Roku. It is still going. We are still waiting. Brennan, what do you got?
No little pharmaceutical name, guys. AVEO, one that was in play a little bit last week, popping up here today. Almost 13%. Wainwright giving them an upgrade today and also raising their price target. This is another company with a potential COVID-19 vaccine as well, guys.
You know, I was gonna type an answer to this question, and before I celebrate some things, I want to talk to you about that AAL. So look, we're down 10%. Now, I did mention what my strategy was here. I'm still holding 10% of my position. And again, if it gave me a shot to load up at 97, I think, or 75, maybe I should have taken it there. But what we're waiting for and hoping for is hold below VWAP, break 950, and at that point, I think we're looking for re-entries into shorts. I think if the ES can get past that 2800 mark and hold below, I think if the NQ rolls over here at 8720, yes, if those things happen and we break 950, then my target would, I think, get hit down around that low of day. It's not just the low of the day on American Airlines, and this is why you want to have some caution. Of all of the other names in the space, this one made a double bottom. The previous low was also 910, and this is what you saw today. United was making a higher low. Southwest was making a higher low as well. AAL was right on that bottom, so it would be a double bottom if it holds this one, and that's why there's some relative strength. If the market rolls over, I think we retest it. That's why I'm still in the short. That's why I have some ideas to work with to jump back into some more shares as well. So that's the plan there. CCL, man, sometimes I feel like I do have the ability to use the force. You get these VWAP retracement, it's like gravity. It just pulls you right back down. When these stocks fail to break towards new highs and people have these parabolic moves and they're holding their longs, these are the sellers you want to take advantage of when you put in this lower high here at 14. Take advantage of their, maybe their greed thinking there's going to be a bigger move. They're going to have stops when this 14 even breaks. And they're going to be selling off into VWAP here, which is exactly what we're going to take the opportunity to do as we buy back when they sell. So I do still have a little bit of position on, 25% to be precise. We're going to catapult our net to infinity, as Sean likes to say it. Well, it's obviously going to be a decent number here, but the reality is you've got to take profit in front of VWAP. There's usually going to be support there where there's going to be some buying. And on top of that, look at this channel in the morning. 1360 was the top end in resistance. So you see a level like that as resistance in the morning, and then it comes down to VWAP at that same price. You got to be taking profit off if you see those two things come down with you. So if it does want to make another leg to the downside and break 1350, I will have some on board, but I'm not getting greedy, not when those things are aligned. I'm taking profit in front and then running to the exits.
Yeah, as you're waiting on that one here, I'm waiting on the futures. There's a lot of mixed information coming out of the futures here. This could go in any direction. Problem is there's not enough to work either direction. We can, there's a lot of buying in front of this 2800, so I almost want to say maybe there's enough to, take a shot at the long. The first time I did it, I did have just enough action. Mind you, I'm looking at the chart, but at the same time, I'm also looking at the time and sales, right, which is all the prints that go off, all the buying and selling that happens. At that point in time, there was enough to take a shot in front of 2,800. But right now, it is not doing a whole lot in terms of directional movement. So I'm going to wait on this one. Brendan, what do you got?
Just watching this STML. This was that M&A deal we were talking about earlier. Big move higher here, 1210 all the way up to almost 1240 there. And remember, there's a 1150 deal plus a dollar contingent value right, which would put this thing at 1250. Not much in the way of headlines, new headlines coming out. There is a class action lawsuit saying that the price isn't valid for the value of the company, but that's fairly typical in these cases. But big move higher here, guys, for STML.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there was an opportunity I had on that one, and look, it's a style of trade that I do rather heavily sometimes in trading in some of these leverage buyouts or M&A action. But today there was just too much juice in some of these shorts that we were able to pick up. I thought I think it was going to be a little bit better, and yeah, I did sort of mention there was an opportunity to buy, and I reversed into picking shares up and buying them in front of that 12 even. I just didn't hang on long enough nor get aggressive enough to get this kind of a move. And then when I said to you guys, it still holds true. If you get a parabolic move upside, you're looking for it to fail at 1250 and only short in front of that. Otherwise, 12 is your floor and you can long in front of it. So that still holds true if that's what you're watching, guys. I got nothing else to say about STML. It was a great opportunity. If you focused on this one, then yeah, you got a nice little win there. I think there were better chances in the market, despite the fact it's done 22 million shares, which is pretty dang good. I do have one trade which is out of the money here, and that's actually Codex. And remember, we did take profits of 25 cents on the initial short and then got in on a break when it took out 75. My average price right now is 81. It's a blend of both. We'll give it one more shot in front of VWAP here. I think you can use that 1510 as an out. So I'll take more shares, maybe at in the mid 90s, or whether it's 15 even or so. And then just if it breaks 10 to 15, I think we'll just get out. And then we're looking for a bigger flush. I think it can get down to 1450 if it can hold below that 75 mark. It failed one time. If it would have failed twice, maybe you put a break-even stop at that point. Otherwise, I'm just going to use this VWAP area. Don't put your stop right at VWAP. You had some support here, sort of resistance at 1510. I'd much rather use that as an out on Codex.
Yeah, you're very patient with your trades there, Neil. So am I here. That LUV, I am looking to. I waited long enough, and I'm not liking the action I'm seeing. So I'm not rushing to get out. At the same time, I am actually looking to pair off some of this. Right now, it's about 10 cents in the money. I'm trying to get another 10 cents in front of this 80. I'll take some off if we can get down there, 81, 82-ish. That one. ES Futures. Okay, let's get back to this one. This is the one I was talking about before we left last time. This is the action here is going both directions, right? There's enough buying in front of this area, but at the same time, the first time I did it, there was enough to actually take a shot at that. Second time, I'm seeing way too much above us and way too much below us. So at this point, there's no point in rushing to take a trade because there really isn't one, unless you're really going for scalps, or unless you're really trying to play the spread and make a quarter point here, half point there. That's not my style, so I'm not going to be stepping in. This thing, honestly, it could blow off and just take out the high and go right through the 30s, and then I might actually be forced to risk 30 points on the breakout when I can easily take a 5-6 point risk now. But the problem is the 5-6 point doesn't have enough of a probability for me just to take a shot at this just yet. So I'm sitting out of this one. We're just sitting on this one here, and while we're sitting, Brendan's got some news.
Yeah, a little bit of news on Front Yard Residential, guys. RESI. Saw this one in the pre-market. It really hasn't done much, but just grinding along the lows. So worth mentioning, I think shares hit, year and a half low. They had a deal with Amherst to take out the company, so Resi was involved in a buyout with Amherst, but that has fallen through. So if we jump over to the chart here, 25% to the downside again at day lows here at 820 for RESI, guys.
Yeah, that's definitely a good look, and I'm going to add that one to my quote board. And get this time of day and things might slow down. You certainly want to have some plays on for the afternoon, some stocks that you're heavily watching, whether they've moved yet, whether their volume is picking up now, maybe just had a recent volume spike or just had a halt. Throw it in there and then devise a plan for the afternoon. I'm still net short here, and that Codex, it does feel like this is the one trade. And initially when we talked about this, it was because one of you guys wanted to be long the stock, and I did mention if it broke 1510, that was an enticing long trade. It's still holding the downward trend. I think until it gets above and maybe holds above VWAP here in 1510, that price area, it is still a decent short trend. So I'm going to hang on. I'm not going to adjust anything with my plan, but it is feeling relatively strong, at least in the last couple of minutes here, as I am watching the NASDAQ try to get to the high of the day. It's only a few handles away from it now, even though with ES is trailing. You are getting a bit of a bounce here. We're trying to get to the top. Despite the fact that I'm in the money on 3 of my 4 shorts, there is an opportunity for maybe to catch a bounce in this market. And I'm looking at Apple here, and it's bounced twice shy of VWAP at 289.40. My best trades to the long side when we made $1.50 and then 75 cents, another 50-cent scalp on Apple. Then we tried to go short, and that was a bit of a disaster there, even though it eventually worked out. Now you get another run at the top here, guys. If Apple can break 291.50, maybe it's about to go running here. So I think to the long side, Apple's been a strong one. It looks like it wants to continue to do so. So a couple of ways I'm going to play it. One, bounce VWAP 289.50 long if it goes down, or 291.50 break to the upside. Let's see if we can take the top off on Apple, Arun.
Yeah, while that top's going off, you know what another top that's going off? Roku. It's at 121 now. We are now approaching a $6 profit on the second half of this position. And you know what? The stop now gets to move up from 118.50 to just underneath 119, or underneath 120. So 119.75 is the next stop now. We're letting this one go. Someone mentioned it's a creeper in a good way. Yes, it is a creeper in a good way. This is one of those trades where you have to get the entry in the right location. At that point, you just manage it properly and let it go. Because if you step in too late or step in a little later, the action isn't right for you to actually just manage it this way. So right now, 119.75 is a stop. We're just going to wait on that one in the meantime. Futures still going a little sideways, right? It's working the 10s here a little bit. So again, like I was saying, if we could take off the top, but there's not enough. I'd rather it break down or break out and figure out what it wants to do. At this price, I'm not doing a whole lot. Hey, Neil, what are your thoughts? I know you like to use the futures to make moves in Apple and things like that. Are they leaning in a direction that you like?
If you're talking about the ES, no. The NQ does seem like it's making this little double top action here. That's why I was thinking if we can break out, Apple would be the play. It just hasn't happened for me yet. So, I'm not going to force anything here. That's why I said if we take the top, fine, we'll go long. Other than that, I'm going to hang on to the shorts that are profitable, adjust my risk in any of those as they do happen. Someone was just asking in the chat, so I'll go over it here. If you caught that short in STML, guys, didn't get to 50, but look, it was a breakout at 12.10 here. You can see this level very clearly. If you're already shorting in the money, by all means, take some profit already. It's likely to turn at 12.10, if not 12 even. So you want to make sure you're getting some out on the way down. Now, again, if you have direct market access and you're able to sort of trade near free, you want to make sure you're taking profit out on the way down, doing multiple trades. If you can't do that, then maybe you park something in front of 12.10 in the 15 range, or in 12 to 15 range with one order if that's your preference. But right now, it's our preference to go to the big screen with Valeria for In Focus.
Hey guys, welcome to In Focus. Quick news updates in case you've missed. The total number of coronavirus cases grew to 3.5 million globally, with more than 240,000 deaths. US President Donald Trump on Sunday said that vaccine might be available by the end of this year, but the World Health Organization professor says that vaccine cannot be expected by the end of 2021. Gilead Sciences drug will be available for coronavirus patients as soon as this week, according to the company's CEO. 80 million of Americans still have their cable or satellite television and are paying for their live sports programs they haven't received in more than 2 months. States across the US are starting to ease stay-at-home restrictions and reopen non-essential businesses to help the economy to rebound. That's all for today. Stay in focus and back to guys.
All right.
Thank you very much, Valeria. Getting a lot of questions about people wanting to, short. People asking, should I short in Microsoft here? Softy made a bit of a move up, and it's very similar to Apple. I think if you're going to have a bias, and again, it's an individual stock bias that I'm working with here. This is not the place that I would love to initially have a roll, but I'm looking at 177.50. If you think that the NQ is going to hold this little double top, and I'm talking 87.65 here, and with the ES, not making any headway itself, yeah, you could take a shot at a 177.50 to the south side, maybe give it to 178. You're risking 50 cents to try and make a buck. I'm not doing it because I've given you the shorts that I like. I'm working with Occidental. talking about the energy space. We've been working with Codex, which might not work actually. And then the third one is obviously going to be American Airlines. I think that's the place that I like to play, personally speaking. If there is a decent shot that if the market wants to come down here, that you take a shot at Microsoft. But if you have the ability, you could also just short the futures themselves. You could jump into the Qs and watch that one roll over at 87.50 and play the trade instead of having to jump into a relatively strong name on the day. Arun, what are you thinking about? If the market's going to fail here at the top in the NQ, would you jump into something like a Microsoft that's up 2%?
It's all about relative strength. If the market, I'm actually looking at the NQ. Here, let me pull it up now. If Microsoft is relatively strong compared to the NQ, then I would go towards the weaker names in the index. Keep in mind, NQ is comprised of it's not even a full, it's NASDAQ 100, but yet I believe 10 of them control the majority of the actual action in terms of weighting. The way it's weighted, 10 of them control it, right? So Microsoft is one of the big ones in there. Intel's another one. Apple's another big one. So I'd pick the weakest of the bunch in terms of setting up if you're looking at the NQ on the short side here. Let me actually pull that up there so I can actually see what this chart is. I'm so caught up with all the other stocks. Just while I'm pulling this up, I do want to mention, somebody in the chat mentioned Lyft. I did pick up some shots on Lyft here. Lyft is not NY. Okay, while I'm pulling that up, we are going to go to the NQ chart. Yes, here we go. Lyft. 27.29 is where I pulled a short here. 27.80, 85 is a stop on this. The reason I took this short here after it was mentioned in the chart in the chat, this bounce, this break, it's worth a shot on the scalp. I'm not in terms of like how much of an action or profit projection I'm looking on for this thing. I don't know. It's just one of those things I want to take it because it's good enough to take on the short-term basis. We'll just let this one play out. In the meantime, though, I do want to pull up the NQ chart just to give an idea of how to play this if you're doing a relative play between the index and the components. NQ, let's just pull this out. That's the 1 minute. Let me pull it out to the 30. This is what it looks like on the 30, right? We keep going higher towards this 87.70. So if I'm looking to short, we are above that high from the afternoon on Friday, but yeah, we're not able to sustain the buying. So if we can get above, I think 87.80 on the top end, we can then take a shot with 87.20 on the stops as a stop for that long. But for now, I'm going to be very careful what I would do with this. Relatively speaking, now let's take a look at Microsoft. As the market goes up on the NQ side, Microsoft is doing, well, it's up 1.73%. It is running into a whole lot of action, a lot more than the NQ is. So for me, I would move away personally, and there's many different ways of trading this. Personally, I would stay away from Microsoft. I know this is Sean's favorite stock, and a lot of you guys are probably having.
Stay away from Microsoft.
A lot of you guys are having Mr. Softy withdrawal by me not taking it. Neil's not taking, or is Neil taking? I don't even know. But
no, I'm not looking at it. I've been looking at Apple all morning long. I think that's been the better read and better play for me on some of those market moves. But there's nothing wrong with Microsoft. I just like it for the relative strength overall, as opposed to trying to pick a short on it, which I think you can do in something like sorry, not to interrupt you here, but in something like a Disney here. I mean, if the market rolls over, look at how weak Disney's being. It's just sort of holding VWAP. It's down 3.5%. We talked about all the reasons why the negative impacts of what's happening in travel would leak over to Disney. And I know they have the streaming, but hey, unless you're watching what's coming out today, they got the new movie I think is dropping. They don't have a heck of a lot of new content in Disney. So there's a little bit of a problem there, at least relative to Netflix. But I'm looking at a 101.35 rollover. If it breaks that little bottom, we'll grab a little short there. If it fails at 102.13, I think right up here, you can take a shot in front of that if you want to short it at VWAP. I mentioned that there was the possibility we'd fall in a hole, and it finally did happen. We've had a couple of losing trades today. One of them was UAL. Even though that was a winner initially, we did lose on the second half of that. I'm going to add Codex to the list, and it's a similar pattern where our initial short was good. It worked out. We tried to load back into it in front of VWAP, but it just took out that 15.10. And apologies to whoever it was that was mentioning in the chat there that they wanted to go long. That was your opportunity. I think maybe now that 15.10 for you might have been a play. I liked it short first. I think if it rolled over, you had a big time opportunity to get down to that 14 mark, especially with a 15 short. It didn't work for me, so we have a tight stop there at 15.10. I'm all out of Codex. I will revisit it if it fails at 1560, which is high of day. Otherwise, it could still be a breakout through that price. This is another name that even Brendan was involved in and looking at earlier, Codex, sort of giving you trades almost on a daily basis here.
Yeah, you know, it's everyone like to take it a different way or trade it a different way, and Sean is not going to like the fact that I am not trading or involved in Microsoft. But yet, guys, you don't have to trade the same thing every day. For Sean sees opportunities in Microsoft every day. I can't. So we're going to step away from that. I do like you playing Apple though. Apple does seem like it's got a lot of action here. As they try to develop the breakout. So 191, 291.40 on the breakout might actually give you a shot with a 290 stop, a 290.80 stop on the bottom side. So I'm trying to figure out what stocks to look at, and I know Brendan's got some help here.
Yeah, getting a little bit quiet as far as overall moves go. Just checking back in with energy names here, guys. ConocoPhillips just bounced pretty hard off of $39 there, all the way back to $39.40. This 39.5 up here was a bit of a pivot on the way down. So we'll see what happens. Some of the energy names, individual names, starting to look like they might be stronger than the overall sector. ConocoPhillips, XOM among those strong ones, guys.
Yeah, you know, I didn't mention this when it happened, but we're going to go with, I don't know, why not fireworks? And, you know, I could have had something which is better for the cruise ships. I think if they've been in play so long, it's almost like we should have a graphic for it. But Carnival here, I did get trailed out of this one. I did mention if it failed to break through VWAP, and it, you know, kind of bounced right here, and we talked about the reasons why it should bounce or could bounce at 1360, and then I trailed out at 1375. So I think you want to lock in some profits. If you want to hold on for the home run trade, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm actually doing that in American Airlines, but it's just worth noting, AAL broke VWAP and was trading and holding below. That's why I like to hold it for the bigger home run trade, whereas, you know, when CCL holds VWAP and then holds that higher level from the morning, it's just a little bit of relative strength. That's why you hold the home run in American and you don't do it in Carnival. That's the reason. If Carnival had been basing out here at 1330, I'd probably be like, yeah, let's just go for the low of the day if we roll over. But you're seeing a little bit of strength relative to the airlines there in American Airlines. So that's why I'm holding American and not holding Carnival, and why we got out of that short trade, guys. It's a profitable trade all around. You can see it's a fantastic one, shorting at 14, adding to the position at 14.11. You get a flush down here. Our last out, of course, was down at 61, and we're taking profit once it started below 1390. Our last out, of course, when it broke back upside at 81, and then at that point I'm locking in the 25 to 30 cents and walking away in case it bounces off VWAP again. Doesn't mean I'm going long. It just means I believe more in the short in American Airlines. You're just not getting me out of this one, guys. We either break 975 or we break 950, and I'm looking for a place to add, and I want to retest that low of the day. The market's trying to go upside here, and that's fine. I think if we make new fresh highs, we've already made so much money on American that it's worth risking it. If you are flat and you're only coming to this trade now, I don't think it's the best place to step in and gamble short unless it breaks that 950, unless we roll over in the futures. But if you do still have it, and you're in the money here on a 10 short, yeah, you have a lot of reasons why you can roll some of the dice here and see if you can't get that home run trade and then get that massive fall in a hole flush if we break 950 on American.
Yeah, you know, as you're working that American, I am starting to not like this love. Love is not giving me any love whatsoever. So I am looking to walk away from this. The action, remember, I'm willing to hold on for the sake of letting the trade work out. But when I get information that is not helping the trade, I am looking to dump this one here. They are starting, this is a 30-minute chart. I'll zoom this in a little bit here. You see this action? I was hoping we would get through here. This is not looking too good. So I am looking to cut this out a little quickly here. I don't want to be, if it gets above 20, I'm going to dump that. I'm moving the stop down from 28. 27.20 is a new stop. We're moving it out if it gets through there. In the meantime, Valeria's got some news.
Hey guys, I wish you a great trading day, and hopefully it is going so. Please share the link with your friends. Even if they're not traders, we'll make them passionate about that. And also please hit the thumbs up. We also almost reached 300 likes. Let's go everyone, hit the thumbs up. It's absolutely for free. And of course, subscribe to our channel. Last week we reached our goal, 10,000 subscribers, and now it will open a lot of opportunities for us to be even more helpful. We are preparing a morning watch list for you. We are preparing more educational videos and of course merchandise with Trader TV cups and fruit salad t-shirts. Well guys, please support us as much as you can. Also mention us on social media. Help more people to find out about our great show. Well, I'll see you later. Back to traders.
Thank you very much, Valeria. Can't say that enough. Look, if you want one of these like spicy new mugs, and I'm not going to take a big sip because this coffee is cold, but the mug is absolutely fantastic. Look, one of the things that we talk about here is teaching and learning, and we have a trading floor behind us that normally we'd be mentoring some of the traders. Of course, some of them are remote. You're seeing Kevin in the chat here. He's answering your questions. He's one of our senior traders here on the floor. But it's a learning experience, and that's why we launched that other channel, guys, and it's Market Wisdom, and I hope you guys check out our view off video. More to come, and remember, comment on those videos because, we can't service you guys, the viewers, if we don't know what you like, what you dislike, where we should maybe jump in, what other videos should we put in there, are there things we should be adding, or the things you don't need in there. Let us know. We need your feedback if we want to continue to be bigger and better like we strive to do on a daily basis here, guys. So I'm going to quickly jump in and give you the position board update. Just a couple of shorts, guys. We do have American Airlines still short, of course, at nice 997. Actually, it's 998. Not sure why it's showing 97 there. But Oxy, we also have at 1498 to the south side. That's a break-even stop for me. If it wants to go back up there, fantastic. Otherwise, it's like one of those binary positions like American. I think there's an awesome downside flush potential, especially as the futures try to roll over here. Someone was just asking about Netflix. We talked about this one earlier. They asked me if it looked like a rollover setup. I'm like, look, if you wanted to take a shot at it, I gave you the levels. I said why I was not in terms of its relative strength. So I stayed away from it. I think I talk about the same reasons why I didn't jump into a Microsoft short, and I did jump into Apple, and I got out of it really quickly. Is if you have something for relative strength, wait for good long positions there. I'm not looking to short this one. Netflix, very, very strong. And like I mentioned, Disney getting the short end of that stick. So, if you're looking for a possibility of something to short, I have my stop right now ready to go at 101.35, 36 on Disney. I think the other thing you can do is you could jump into it now if you wanted, just maybe only give it to 102. It looks like about 102.20 or so. I'm going to wait for the breakdown. I think the market is starting to slow down and level off a bit. I wanted to get going and start moving before I aggressively get into a short like that. I'm already exposed. If we roll over, I'm already going to have home runs in the airlines and, of course, in the energy space. Brennan, what do you got?
A little teeny tiny one here, guys. RVP, we mentioned this one last week, one day, 28% again today to the upside on decent volume. This thing barely trades otherwise, but just popping back up here, 375 held a couple of times as support. Some buyers stepping up again on RVP, guys.
Good look there. I know someone was just asking about Smile Direct for a long-term hold. Look, we were talking about Smile Direct. Sean and I, the double bottom around this little $4 area, and then you had the breakout through 6 even. Look, ultimately that's the price you probably wanted to be in. You saw a similar setup on a lot of the IPOs in the last 6 to 12 months, whatever it might be, when they get that little flush, and that's where the breakout was. So if you're buying at this price, well, hopefully you weren't buying necessarily at 8. Maybe you're waiting back at that 650 mark. I think that's decent. You don't want to make it fresh lows at that point. You're saying to yourself, okay, if it gives up 50%, I'm going to be out of that one. There's certainly an opportunity for it to double. The problem with that, if you didn't get that initial bounce price through 6 even, is if the market makes another leg lower, there's a decent probability you will be put to the test. So for me, along at 6 you can hold. Along up here at 758, unless you think you're ready to withstand that 50% move to the downside, I'd probably be staying away from it. But if you're in the money, it's a lot easier to make that call. So that's why we were talking about it down around that 4, 5, 6 area break, and not so much up here at $8, guys.
Yeah, as we're rolling into lunchtime soon, couple updates on my positions and my stops, guys. I know there's people are asking Roku stop. Yeah, this thing is up now too, $6.50 from that entry this morning, 9:35 this morning. So we're almost 2 hours into this trade, and we're at $6.45 right now. The stop on this, I'm going to move this down to 119.75, just underneath there, probably 73. 119.73, and this thing is still going. So let this one go. Hey, if this thing wants to run, let it run. No point in cutting this thing short, right? So give it the potential to actually go. Let it go. So we'll let that one slide. Lift. It is starting to go sideways again. I got in at 127. What is my price? 27.29 is my entry. Again, 27, just over 80. 83 is my stop. we're going to let that one go. That is going sideways as well. Love, oh, I am trying to get this one out. I am trying to work this one out. I am abandoning this trade, but I am not. It's not enough to actually take the hit, but it is just enough to not like it to hold. So I'm going to walk away from that one. While I'm walking away and looking for stocks, Brendan's got something.
Yeah, somebody was mentioning big lots there in the chat. Definitely negative on the day, 1.2% to the downside. Got back below 24 in a hurry at the open, held on that last little pop up there. Kind of grinding to the downside. There was a couple of downgrades on this name today. Earnings, worth noting, earnings on big lots not until the end of the month. So yeah, decent look to the downside today. Big.
Yeah, you know, the only thing with big lots for me, Brendan, is 600,000 shares of volume at 11:30. If it's been trading for, half a day now and it's that low, you always ask yourself, how scalable is anything? If you come up with something that works for you on big lots, how many shares are you ever going to be able to put on when liquidity is going to be that low in a name like this? And that's why I'm staying away from it. So you're not going to see me dive into that. I think we're going to have to just, for me, put that one on the back burner. Some people are asking about STML for the short trade. I think if you had it, certainly you wanted to be getting out of it in front of that 1210. Now that it's gotten back to that level, I'm going to be trying it in front of that 12 even and this 1210 mark. There was a 1205 to 1210 channel. That's what I'm going to try going long in front first on this little pullback. Of course, this is a bit of a M&A deal, guys, with a 1150 plus a $1 contingent right there. So that's why it's trading above that 1150 mark if you are happening to watch it.
Yeah, so a couple things with, I just looked at Roku again. I'm moving the stop on this again. I'm tightening the stop up much faster now that we're accelerating a little bit slower after taking that 120 out the second time around. So I'm moving it to 120.80 is the new stop on that. Brendan, you got something?
Yeah, interesting look on MDGS, big mover from Friday. If you joined us on Friday, 335 here, just looking at this level from back here the afternoon of Friday, 340, 335. Looks like a bit of resistance here. Interesting little grind to the upside here. Might be set to break to the downside, guys.
Yeah, MDGS was actually a really good stock for us last week. I mean, the volume's a little bit better than I'm seeing on big lots, so I think there is an opportunity to play it. I think you're using that 330. If you do, I'm probably, look, I'd feel much more comfortable if it broke VWAP, to be perfectly honest with you, so I'm not going to be jumping into that name. There is one other stock I want to quickly circle back to. Of course, it's going to be Apple here. We did talk about the chance that it takes the top off. It's holding the top end here. 291.48 is the high. That 291.50 is the breakout price. And again, if the futures make a new top, I think that's a good place to play, whether you're in that or whether you're going to be in Microsoft, fair enough. But if it breaks 290.50 here, I think there is a scalp play to the south side. I tried it once and it didn't work, and I'm probably going to try it again if futures try to roll over here. I do have a couple of shorts on that are already working for me. I'm probably going to try adding Apple to the list. I do still like that Disney breakdown, but it's nowhere near there. And if the market wants to slide, Apple could be a nice little scalp trade, whether you want to put in 50 cents to $1 to the downside on a 290, looks like 50 area break about to happen right now.
Yeah, as we're breaking down, well, not breaking down, we are starting to move down. Lyft has finally broken down below that 20. So Lyft is now about 12 cents in the money. Roku is still doing its thing. Love, I'm trying to get rid of this thing. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. A couple things I saw in the chat. Am I a alum from somewhere else? No, I am not. I've been here. We've been trading for over 10 years, nearly 15 years now. I'm at 14 years. I know Neil's somewhere around there as well. So we've been trading for a while, guys, and also keep in mind, all these trades are live. We're not going to spend our time in front of these cameras taking paper trades. There's nothing in it for us at that point. So we are making real trades. We are making money. So just take what you want from it, learn from it, and you are getting experienced traders trading real money in front of you. So take that and use that for the best of your ability to make some money off of you guys. We are providing more videos and things like that. So just follow along and just learn as much as you can, and if that helps, right? Neil, you got anything to add with that?
No, I think that's absolutely perfect. I mean, we are making live trades here. This is for you guys. We want you guys to get something out of it, whether it's learning setups, whether it's learning some discipline, or just sort of learning about preparation like we do every single day. But right now, I think it is 11:35. Europe has closed, and that means we got to go to the big screen with Valeria for an update.
Hey guys, welcome to European Update. Europe is closed in a negative territory today. Only Britain is up just a little at 0.23%. Germany closed down 3.24%. France is down 3.96%. Italy is down 3.18%, while Spain is down 3.08%, and Russia is down 0.81%. Well, negative day for Europe today, and I'll update you with Europe tomorrow. Back to guys.
Thank you very much, Valeria. And APDN continues to roll over, and I'm going to be sick to my stomach about this one. We were looking for a pullback into VWAP. It was at 1050 to 1080 was the level that I said if we got in there, I would try the short. This has been a continuous downward trend, and for a guy who likes to pick those retracements, to have missed APDN today kind of makes me sick. But look, if you had this one, you just watch out. It is making a bit of a base at 950. It made a bottom, and it's put in a couple of higher lows. It's finding a lot of support down here. So if I was short, I'd be looking to take a bunch of it off here. And then if you wanted to retest the break at 950, allow it to go and take that shot. If you wanted to allow it to go back to VWAP and take another shot, do it that way. Otherwise, it does feel like it wants to make a bit of a bounce. If it gets through 10, I may take a shot here, APDN to the long side, see if it can't run into VWAP and give you 40-50 cents worth of upside on a bounce. I just look at that strong base and on lower volume and say to myself, let's see if we can't play it both ways. If I was short, I'd be certainly out of it at this point, looking for a breakdown or maybe a base of operations to go long, and I think that'd be about that 10 even mark on APDN.
Yeah, you know, as we're working our way down, I just want to update you guys on this LUV. Or not LUV, lift. I'm trying to get this lift out here around 20. I don't know what happened to the order. It went out, I think. I put it at the wrong price. I wanted 21s out. Just as I go to throw the order out, 21s is gone. But yes, I'm going to be looking to get out. I do want to take some profit. It's starting to stall out. I didn't like what it did after taking these 20s out. Some quick snap action there. At this, there you go. You see it on my chart here. I'll zoom it in. That's my exit on the first half of lift here, making a quick 9 cents or 8 cents on that. As we're working Roku as well, Roku, it is still doing its thing. Stop is now, last I moved it, 120, just underneath 85. We'll call it 120.83 is what I have it set to. Yes, 120.83 is what I have it set to. So that is doing its thing. That's about a buck away. Lift is, I'm out of lift. Love, still waiting on love. It is one of those things that is just taking its time. It was supposed to move a little bit faster.
That's what love does every now and then, man. You got to be patient. You know, stick with it, man. No, I'm kidding. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna call you out here, Arun, because I know a certain good Arun man, my friend. I know you got married recently, so you know a little bit about love. For me, I've been in it for a long time, and one thing we talk about is don't get married to your positions. Always make sure you have a risk plan. For you guys that have seen me sitting in a couple of things for too long here, it's just you make sure you have an idea of what you want to be doing. I'm not going to be sitting in American or in Oxy for like an hour or so without a bit of a plan. It's not just sitting there hoping for a home run, trying to flip a coin. We go over the structure that you have. And I think for longer term holds, which Arun, I know you're very, very good at, what are some of the things you look for if you're trying to make a hold of the entire day, let's say? Maybe you want to hold something till 3, 4 o'clock that you put on in the morning. How do you sort of withstand some of the choppy action that you might see in the market when you're trying to make those types of plays?
Okay, so a couple of things. I think that today's a very good indicator, or I got pretty good examples of what trades I like and what trades I don't, right? Both trades all start off with a 30-minute chart. Are they breaking a major level or multi-day setup? If the answer is yes, in this case, Roku, let's say, took 115. Taking out the evening high from Friday, right? Well, 3 o'clock high from Friday. Took out 115. I'm using the 30-minute chart here. It took the break. It sustained the buying on the 1 minute. I took the long. I put the stop at 114. I risked $1 on this, right? How much potential does that larger time frame chart have? The 30-minute chart have? My first target would have been around 118. I got out at 117 and changed because we never got to 118. We started to hesitate on the 1 minute chart. Then what do? I move to the 1 minute chart, right? From the 30 now, I've gotten my first target out. I'm moving to the 1 minute chart. Now I'm looking to find where the areas of interest and volume are as we're moving up. As we're moving up, I moved the stop just underneath 117. Then I moved it to 118.50. Now, as I'm moving the stop up, you'll see all these locations here. I'll draw them out as we went. After we took that 118, I protected the position. 117 and change was the just underneath 117 was the first stop. Then we broke out again the second time around. I moved it after we took out 120 the second time. I moved my stop to 118, right? Now we keep going up. Now they're starting to compress a little bit, which tells me there's a lot of volume up here. So now I'm tightening up the stop to 121. Now that's how you trade in terms of when you take a longer term position, you're holding. I'm not holding for the sake of holding. I'm holding because there's a reason I'm holding, or there's a level that I'm looking at, and if we break it, we break it. I'll give up $1.20 from this high to get out just underneath 121. That's fine with me, right? Compare that with, say, a trade like Love, which Love did absolutely nothing after doing the same 30-minute breakout confirming this support. So Love, I just got out of, right? That's the difference between holding and not holding with a plan in mind. Brendan, do you have anything?
Yeah, a little airline here, Alaskan, guys. We were talking about the airlines quite a bit earlier, just starting to peak back up here. Broke back above $28 there on decent volume. The entire group kind of lifting as the market is as well. But yeah, they did end up holding relatively strong today. But Alaskan, one we haven't looked at yet, guys.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We haven't looked at Alaskan. We did look at a couple of other ones there. I know Save is certainly going to be one of them. And I tried a couple of shots here, and we did have an initial long, which was okay. And then we got out entirely too early when this one broke to 1280. It's holding some strength. I mean, you've been watching me trade in American Airlines, and the reason I haven't come back to this one in Spirit is just because we're holding VWAP, we're bouncing off at 1210 multiple times here. It's looking like there could be a potential breakout through this 1250 mark. So if it wants to make another run to the upside, it's not that I'm covering American Airlines, but one thing I can put on is a potential break in Save at 1250. I think if it wants to go, the futures are trying to make those new highs, guys. So you have to watch out and have some plays to the long side. For me, I am eyeballing a few of them. One of them might be taking Spirit Airlines on a 1250 break to the upside. I'm still, of course, short American. I gave you the reasons I would get out of it. It hasn't broken 75, so I'm not covering it. I don't care what happens to the futures. We can go 100 handles from here, but if we hold 75, I'm holding the short. So that's the way it's going to be. It has some relative weakness. I'm able to play it that way. If it was a stronger stock, we wouldn't be doing this, but it's been getting crushed, and we like our position, and it's been holding below VWAP, unlike Save, unlike some of the other names in the space.
Yeah, you know, a lot of a matter of holding. Let's see what Brendan has to say first.
Yeah, just going to mention Shopify here, guys. Nice day for Shopify. 640. This is the one in New York. You can trade it here in Toronto as well. Shopify up to 640 though in New York. 2 days ahead. Earnings Wednesday for Shopify. So a nice move higher in front of earnings, guys.
Yeah, you know, Shopify looks really good. Actually, I'm looking at the long-term chart here. It's breaking that 646 or 646 double topped here twice now. Or that's what a double top is, but it's approaching that high here at 641. If we take that high out, it might be a great trade. 646 on the breakout, 636 on the stop. Here's the thing too, I want to point out, because Shopify is a $650 stock. I know we play Tesla, we play a lot of these expensive names. We have the ability, right? We, as a firm, we have that capital to take those shots in these expensive names. If you guys want to follow along and you want to take these shots, you guys can play in the options, right? If we go long, you go long. You go long a call, or you go long a put. If we go short, there is a way to play along if for the accounts that actually can't take that kind of risk, or limited by capital. So there's ways to play it. Mind you, we don't trade options. I'm sure there's a lot more factors in play, but in terms of intraday, there should be some ability to take these trades along with us. If your account can't handle these expensive names, that's perfectly fine, guys. There's many different ways of trading. We just go with the stocks because we have that ability, we have the leverage, so we take those shots, right? So keep that in mind. Roku, just want to update you guys. Roku's now up $7.65 on that entry. So we're still letting that go. Stop hasn't changed. Just to give you guys a heads up on that. Shopify is taking that high out. So if we take 646, I'm going to try and decipher which levels I want to work with. In the meantime, Neil, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm looking at two things right now. One I got into is going to be MVIS. I know some of you guys have been looking at that in the chat. I've only been shorting it previously, but we just dipped into a long trade. It's trying to break above that 90 area. I started at 96, looking to pull back in front of VWAP whatever we can if it can get a secondary run. But the market's starting to go here, and I'm watching Tesla 750. 748.80 is the high of day. If it fails to break that 750, this could be an opportunity for those of you that are very pessimistic about the stock. You could certainly want to short in front of it, but it looks like it might be a breakout here. Tesla, again, I came in here looking for places to be short in the stock, but you just can't ignore the price action that we're seeing today. It's very, very strong. As I mentioned, I did get into MVIS. I'm going to leave myself, I left myself some room to add to this position if we got a shot. So I didn't take a full load here. I wanted to make sure we have some room to be able to take some 92s to 94s. It just hasn't been the case. It's already making a move to $1. Just watch out here. I'll move this out of the way. You can see we did make a run at $1, got to 109 and faded back in. So if it breaks $1 again, I would expect you could run into some resistance trying to make this other move. It is up over 100%. It already rolled over heavily, but there was huge support at 70 cents. There was huge support at 80 cents. It then made a bottom here at 85. It's trying to work upside. I'm going to give it one shot here at the long and see if we can't break through one even. But I'm turning this one out at VWAP here, so 90 cents. I'm going to let that one go. Either way, that should be fantastic for us. Ultimately, I like those reversal plays if it's off an intraday level. 70 to 80 was something we could find on the daily chart. So when it bounces off there, I'm going to give it more juice than if it was just a random price here that it bounced at like 11 o'clock. So we're long side at NBIS, already in the money, a couple of cents. Let's see if it can't make a test of one even.
Yeah, Shopify here, we were keeping an eye on this thing. This thing is getting closer and closer to 646, which was a level that I was looking at. Now, if we can get through there and actually get a decent amount of buying through there as we break it, it might be one of those trades that's worth a low risk shot, meaning 646 on the upside, which break that, put the stop just below the low of whatever this check is if we get through there. So you'll see they're backing off to 643 right now. Now, if we back off to 643 and then take 646, I'll take 646 long, 643 on the stop for that.
I got to hit some fireworks for you here, guys, because here's that move coming into $1, and the way I'm going to approach this, and I think you got to if this is going to happen to you. I wanted to take more shares of MVIS, but it never really dipped back down. So because I can't get my full position, it's not going to prevent me from taking out 20% so far in front of $1. That way, if it falls back in, I can get even more aggressive testing the long retracement. So if it comes back down like it is now, I'm going to start working back into shares. And if you don't take profit on this position, you basically have this like binary black or white where it either does exactly what you want right away or you don't make any money. And this way I can make some money on the upside here at 10 and then add back in a little more aggressively at 94 and 92, and sorry, not 10, I meant $1, 94 to 92, which is our target entry price. I'm able to do a bit more of that because I've taken profit on the trade. So I think that's one thing you got to keep in mind. If you have the ability to make multiple trades that are not stuck, making 1, 2, 3 in a day, if that's of course the reason, then you sort of jump in, have your stop, have your target, and if your trading is that inflexible, just make sure you follow your rules. We're more flexible here. That's why I'm jumping in and out on something like an MVIS to the long side here.
Yeah, keep in mind, guys, with every transaction, there are transaction fees as well. So we also have the advantage of a lower transaction fee per trade. So we have that ability to jump in and out, and then sometimes even get paid by providing volume. So adding liquidity through certain exchanges gives you a credit. So that is all part of the intraday direct market access trading. So keep in mind the trades that we make, there's a reason why we take so many trades. Well, not me specifically, but I know these two guys, they love taking their trades, especially Sean. So I know Sean likes to do this quiz on how many trades he's made for the day. He's always in some crazy number. I'm like, how do you get there, Sean? Well, just so you guys know, I'm only at 22 trades. Neil, what are you at?
100 and it's executions, 159 executions, and I think if you look at MVIS here, I did build this short position, and if you're trading a penny stock, this is something you're probably going to do if you have the ability. And it's when it comes up to VWAP, I'm not just sitting there with one order to get into position. I get in one time here, I add to it a few minutes later, I add to it a minute later, and then I have a couple of entries, 2 or 3 minutes after that. And even on the way down, and then people are sort of flushing out of their longs. I'm sort of layering some orders and getting out, just taking advantage of the liquidity that's down there, and then getting out of my position in multiple stops. So, certainly I can have 10, 15 executions for one quote-unquote trade. That doesn't mean I'm actually making that many independent decisions. It's just how many executions that I'm taking. In terms of actual trades, I've done 10 different stocks. And sometimes it'll be one and done. Sometimes it'll be 3 or 4 actual trades in those. So anywhere from 20 to 40 trades in the morning is a more reasonable way to look at that. Brennan, what do you got for us, bud?
Another penny stock, superconductor here, SCON, up 13% today. Relative volume nearing 100 times on the day. This is a 26-cent little teeny tiny penny stock. Just broke the high there. Right back down, but we'll see what happens for SCON as well.
SCON. Good look here, and I know a couple of you guys were just talking about Boeing, and Kevin, one of our senior traders here on the floor, when we do have a floor, obviously. Of course, we're doing our social distancing, so you're just seeing us here for the time being. Kevin in the chat mentioning that break in Boeing. Wow, how did we miss this one? What a fantastic breakdown this was. You had a few stocks that were leveling off, so to say. I guess that's the best way to think about it. Leveling off at VWAP, it's now broken down. The market's trying to bust through to fresh highs, and we're having some trouble getting there. The ES is trailing, it hasn't touched the top. The NQ broke and is now holding just above it. And one of the names that I was going to look to the south side, I was hoping would make a move like what we're seeing in Boeing, was going to be Disney. But the fact that I'm not triggered short in Disney means it's held. And it actually looks like it wants to break the top in the other direction. So look, I'm not jumping into the short in Disney unless it confirms there's some selling coming in. So as much as I like the breakdown, I don't think this one's going to be in play for us. I thought there was a good opportunity if it took out the low, and that just hasn't happened. So I don't know that we'll be making that short in Disney unless it happens a little bit later on in the afternoon. I'll go back over to that STML. I know you guys, some of you guys have been watching this one. I've been digging into this one in front of that 1205 mark, and we mentioned 1210 to 1205 on the way up. There was a breakout at 10. That channel had a bottom at 05. I loaded up in front of that 05. I'm taking profits out here at around 1210. I'll hold some of this long in case it wants to make another run back up into those teens, but it's got to trade well above 1210. And I'll show you what the problem with that is. A lot of selling happening at 1210. So in a stock like this, you'll take your 4 or 5 cents, no problem. You can try to hold some for a bigger move, but this is an M&A action, guys. It might not move a heck of a lot more than this. So unless you're able to leverage up and take some more shares and you're not happy with 5 cents, don't trade it.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Disney there, Neil, because I am looking at this. I actually do like the breakout just over 120 or 102.20. So if we can get there and sustain, I know we peaked past there just now, as high as 102.24. If we can get up there and stay up there, I'm going to take a shot at that on the buy side, go long there, put the stop at 101.75, and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, we're waiting on that one. Shopify is taking 646. The bottom would be 642 on the stop. In the meantime, we're going to go to Brendan. I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with Shop.
Yeah, nice pop there for Shopify moving higher. Another one with earnings this morning. Pitney Bowes, guys, down. Yeah, almost 20% for PBI. Back towards the day lows here, down at 270. One to watch maybe for a move in the afternoon. Pitney Bowes earnings were not good, obviously, guys.
Yeah, you can definitely say that again, Pitney Bowes. I think there's a couple of other names that I do want to get to here that we haven't really covered in a little bit. One of them is going to be Codex. So the reason why I've jumped away from it here with just about under 10 minutes to go in our show is it's just range bound. And we thought there might have been a breakout play to the upside. That just never materialized. I was going short. Ultimately, I do get stopped out at the top, and if it runs now, I think we'll look like a bit of a sucker. But the reason why you get out is if it holds VWAP, there's going to be another entry for you. So if it were to break that 14.75 again in the afternoon, I'll probably take another shot going short here in Codex. It's still up 11.5%. There's still a lot of a gap to be filled in, and 13.50 was Friday's close. Lots of room to the downside. Initially, I had a target of about 14.10 if it did hold below that 75. So I still think you can be shorting Codex if it breaks 75. It's managed to hold this level up at about 15.15 a couple of times here, despite stopping me out with a tighter stop at 15.10. If you had a bigger range, certainly you were able to hold that one maybe to 15.20 to 25. I'm going to jump back over to MVIS because I thought we'd get a nice little run here, and we took some profit out. I am loading back into this position. I got one entry back in the 94 range. If it does dip down, I'll give it one more shot in front of 92 in VWAP. This one was a great short that I think can turn into a good long, but that one even mark does loom in the way. Take some profit out in front of it if you can. If you're trading a penny stock, it is worth it to grab 4 or 5% if you can do that, and then try and get the bigger move if it breaks a buck. I think we can get to that 105 to 110 mark where it turned around on the parabolic move you'll see on the chart right at the open at 9:30. But it did fail hard, so make sure you're taking your profits out on the way up as it goes for you guys.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of news coming out. I know there's a lot of talk of Wayfair W. I'm just jumping into this stock now as you guys are talking about it a lot. This thing is really taking off. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this. This is a nice little breakout of the 128.50. If you want to take a long, I'm going to actually jump in there and put a bid down I'm actually I try to get some shop at 646. It's at 647.80. I'm pulling that order. I'm gonna spend my time looking at Wayfair now. Wayfair coming back up through this 128.75 area. I like some action here. I'll step in. I'll step in here, take some out. Actually, no, the spread's about 20 cents, so I got to be smart about how I do this. So with that in mind, as I'm waiting for my order to get filled, I'll put the stop just underneath 127.75. So I'll put 127.73. You got anything to help us out here, Brendan?
Yeah, worth noting on that Wayfair tomorrow, earnings tomorrow, May 5th for Wayfair. So a nice little look there. They did get Credit Suisse target increase today as well, guys.
Just one thing noting, I know this was talked about in the chat and I answered it there. If you're trading something going into earnings, just keep in mind, we are day trading here. We're not holding any positions overnight. We're not trading into the earnings play on any of these names. Certainly, we're making our decisions in and out before that. Just be really careful holding into earnings plays. Obviously, that goes without saying, but I don't want anyone to be confused thinking that as we're trading Wayfair, we're making bets, or any of these names, we're making bets on what's going to happen with those earnings. That's just not what we're doing here. We're trading the price action that we see in front of it. So, you can certainly take that with a grain of salt. We just want to make sure you guys know exactly what it is that we're doing with some of these names. I'm going to go back to the well here on American Airlines. I still am short this name. I'm going to still hang on to it. It's down 10%. But it does look like it has a shot to roll over. So here's this 950. I've said all morning long, if it breaks 950, I'm not taking it off. I am adding to that position. If we break 950, I'm getting more short. We still have 998 short. We're in the money about 40 pennies here. Of course, we've already taken profits when we went to VWAP. We're adding at 950, not taking off. That's my play. You guys can do what you want with it. It's been a great short all morning long. Brendan, what do you got for it?
Seeing a little gold company, DRD, popping up on a volume scanner. Have a look at that one, little gold miner. Let's have a look. Speaking of earnings, guys, let's have a look what's coming up after market today. And before the open tomorrow, a couple minutes to go here. Obviously still right in the middle of earnings season. Some decent names to get through tomorrow as well, guys.
Sort of a couple of these names already. Look, first of all, you're probably going to be interested in the Diamondback Energy there at DuPont, but we'll certainly see. Regeneron's going to be an interesting one as well. I think for me, and I say this almost every single day, if there are a lot of active names or sectors, just because earnings is a catalyst, you don't have to dive into those names just because you happen to see them on the board and everyone else is talking about them. I'm going to be in the airline sector tomorrow. You're going to see me in Carnival like we always are, looking at the travel space because that's what's active. Didn't make any trades in Tesla today because I came in with a short bias and it's an upward move. But I will be looking at Tesla once again very heavily, see if there's some plays involved there. Arun, what about you?
For me, it's just a matter of managing positions as we go into the end of the day. Keep in mind, guys, this might be my last update for now. Roku, I moved the stop up to just underneath 122. So just underneath, I'm sitting at 121, I believe 97 is my trigger price. A great ride. We're at $8.16 for a trade that's about 2.5 hours in right now. Sometimes you just gotta let them go. This one went today, we let it go. We're gonna rack up some money, at least $7 on this one, at least if we get triggered out. Keep in mind the trigger is still $1 and change, $1.25 away from where it's trading right now. I did get filled into Wayfair. I'm jumping in there with you guys there. I'll take my shot at I got in at, I believe, 76. 74.5 is my average price on that one. I'll take 128.74.5 on the long. Put my stop just underneath 127.75. So I'm risking just over $1 there on Wayfair. We'll see how this one plays out, guys. Just be smart about your positions as we go into lunchtime. A lot of these stocks, Shop was one that I wanted to take, and then I backed away from once I saw Wayfair, just because of the sheer volume, or not volume, but the price and just the risk associated with this trade. I do like it if it was just the only trade that I was taking a high risk on, but given the price, given how fast it's moved through the levels, I'm gonna back away. I'm not gonna take Wayfair and that at the same time. So just be smart. We're going into lunchtime. Things will start to slow down a little bit. Futures are still trying to figure out what to do. We'll wait on that one. And then in the meantime, we're gonna go to Valeria. I know she's gonna send you guys off in the right way.
Dear viewers, thank you very much for joining us today. For all of your support, all of your likes and subscriptions, I promise you that we will be getting better each day. Also, check out our educational YouTube channel called Market Wisdom by Trader TV Live, and check out our first video about VWAP, and write in the comments what would you want us to make next. And of course, guys, follow us on social media, join us on Twitter. You can find us everywhere at Trader TV Live. And as usual, I'm saying what national day is today. Well, winter was a very long time, and all of us are now kind of out of vitamins. So today is the National Day of Orange Juice. Orange juice consists a lot of vitamin C. So guys, if you want to feel more active in spring, drink more orange juice. Guys, do you like orange juice? Do you like the fresh orange juice or the one from the pocket?
Fresh.
I do like fresh orange juice, but I'm going to cross my arms here and tell you it's only one day. It is May the 4th, and May the 4th be with you. It is Star Wars Day, guys. For me, look, I like orange juice, but it's all about catching some of the new movie that's going to come out today, and hopefully some Clone Wars, because I'm a nerd and I love my Star Wars action.
You know what tomorrow is, though? May the 5th. You know what date it is? Tuesday. You know what date it is? Taco Tuesday. I love my tacos.
There you go.
Got me some tacos, got me some burritos. We're going to have a good time tomorrow inside the house. So wherever you guys are having a party, keep it inside. Enjoy your time. Brendan, anything to add?
Yeah, just looking at Intel, guys, not to spoil the party here, but I also enjoy tacos. But just want to mention, I don't know if we can jump to my screen here, guys. A little bit of news just out. Intel acquiring a company called MoveIt. It's an Israeli-based private company, but a $900 million deal here. I'm going to read more about this, but yeah, Intel just releasing some news on an acquisition of MoveIt.
Absolutely. Look, I think we're going to have to look at that very, very closely. I know there's just a request, and before we get out of here, it's 12 o'clock, so I will very, very quickly put the position board up for you guys so that you can see. I do have 4 positions on. We still have American Airlines. I've talked about this 98 short that we have. We still have Occidental short in front of 15 at 14.98. We got the long on that reversal in MVIS. 93 is now my average price. That's working in the money for us. STML, of course, we also talked about this one down at 12.05. I have 12.05 half. You're not going to see that reflected. We can take midpoint here because we have direct market access, but those are my 4 positions that we have on. It's been a fantastic day. Arun, thank you very much for filling in for Sean. I know he wishes he could be here. He could not. Hopefully he will be back here tomorrow making all that cash. It's been a good one. It's been a fun one. What a good market it's been on a Monday. There wasn't that crash that we were expecting, but for the entire team here, Valeria, thank you once again, doing a fantastic job on the chat. Give a little bit of a wave if we can get you on camera there. There you are, Valeria, giving this nice little wave. There you are. Yes. No. Yes. And of course, Arun filling in for Sean, doing a great job. Thank you very much, Arun. I know you guys love to hear his take on the markets, and of course, get a bigger, longer picture view of the futures as well.
Yeah, and if you guys want that caffeine injection, that is Sean. Most likely he will be back tomorrow. Hopefully he'll be back tomorrow. So guys, I know today's been a little mellow with me here, but don't worry, you guys will get your injection of Sean tomorrow, and you guys will get revved up and trade like he does, and keep up with him, guys.
Absolutely, and of course at the desk, our good friend Brennan. Brennan Wiggins doing a fantastic job as always. Give us a wave, Brennan, in the awesome little vest there, always looking so dapper. And as always, I'm Neil Roberts. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is tradertv.live. We'll see you tomorrow.